Good afternoon and a very warm welcome back to the ward at Stormont for the Interprovincial T20 Trophy match number 8. This afternoon we've got the Leinster Lightning taking on the Munster Reds, and a little bit earlier Leinster Lightning won the toss and no surprise they elected to bowl first. There's been a little bit of rain around just before the start of play, but luckily for us it has abated in time for the start of this match. And we're starting on time. My name is Isabel Joyce, and as ever at these Interprovincial T20 Trophy matches, I'm joined by Ali McCalmont. Ali, have you recovered from what happened this morning?
Yeah, a bit surreal, to be honest with you. A lot of chat around. I've just been up into the pavilion. Obviously, we're in Belfast, so the sort of home of the Northern Knights, and quite a bit of chatter up in the pavilion there, let's say.
Not from the players.
No players around. No players around. Just a few people who have been watching that. If you missed it, 42 all out for the Northern Knights, and I'm sure that the Leinster Lightning in particular would have been watching that. Both teams at the top of the table after the festival in Cork, and obviously now with that result, the Lightning, if they can win today, they can open up a little bit of a gap at the top. But of course, the Reds then, if they can turn out victorious here, and we beat all square, back with 2 wins. Obviously the bonus points would separate, but everybody would have 2 wins. So as you say, the Reds have been put into bat by the Lightning. Barry McCarthy off at the city end. He's going to open up to Swapnil Modgill.
His partner is Stephen Doheny. 150 last week, not in the matchup against Leinster Lightning, but that was against the Northern Knights. So it's great for a tournament. I mean, if you're the organisers of this tournament, you see all the teams kind of beating each other. That's what you want. Obviously they're representing their provinces, but you want a pretty even spread of players among the teams. And it feels like that's where we're at.
Yeah, playing a miss there. Modgill, aggressive option early. Barry McCarthy, yeah, that's right. You know, as a horse racing fan and the handicap, you're handicapping horses as they all finish theoretically right together. So you don't really want one of the teams winning every week or losing. I think that was a problem with last year with this tournament, that the Lightning went out and won 7 out of 7, and I think pretty much killed the tournament really early. And this is a different format, as we've talked about a few times, which hopefully will take us to the last week in Pembroke with the title still up for grabs. Doesn't time it.
Yeah, and I think T20, one of the reasons why we love it so much is because one player can come off and win a game for the team. So while there are theoretically the teams that have historically the stronger players in it, you do have match winners in each of the teams. We saw that with that 150 from Stephen Doheny last week. And T20, yeah, you might not win a tournament because you can't do that every single game. Stephen Doheny might have a chat with me about that and say he thinks he can, but usually 150 is something pretty special. You need a chance to go your way or two, and he mentioned that in an interview, I think, that, you know, he survived a chance, and sometimes you need that luck. There's a little bit of a misfield in the deep, leads to a 2 being run. So Swapnil Modgill just looks almost overly keen to strike the ball. He's been a little bit shy of runs in the last week or two in Interpro and club cricket.
Whisper it quietly. A little bit of heat comes across the ground for the first time today. The sun comes out.
I think the key is that the breeze seems to have died down for a while. Straight and gone. Swapnil Modgill just misses the straight one, maybe falls over, touch to the offside. Barry McCarthy knows straight away what's happening, and a poor run of form continues for Swapnil Modgill. Munster Reds lose their first in the first over, 2 for 1.
Yeah, Barry McCarthy with the celebra appeal there. Does not for a second turn round to the umpire. You can see it here. It's Mudgill very full. And in front. And there you go. Finger goes up. Just runs through and waits for the teammates to tell him that the umpire has agreed and put the finger up. Not the start that the Reds wanted. They've lost a wicket in the first over. 2 for 1.
A good piece of bowling that from Barry McCarthy. Bowled it into the pitch the previous delivery, then the full straight one. Swapping on Mudgill, maybe just hanging on the short ball there. Guilty of expecting something and not having a game plan for if that didn't happen. Cian Hilton elevated to number 3. A couple of changes in both teams today. Well, one in Leinster Lightning, David Delaney comes in from Matthew Hollard, and we've got Ben White back in, and Zubair Hassan Khan makes his first appearance of the Interprovincial T20 Trophy. PJ Moore missing out, as well as Owe Sagar from the last game.
Yep, pushed Cian Hilton up to number 3. He faced the last ball of the first over. Gets in behind it, but can't get off the mark. Oh, a little bit of a slip from Delaney. But ends the first over. Successful one for the Lightning and Barry McCarthy. 2 for 1. Yep, Cian Hilton pushed up to 3. I'm just thinking maybe Solomon Safi would have come in at 3.
Yeah, he just hasn't had a good run of form, has he, at all, Solomon Safi? So 0, 1 and 8 so far. So someone else being given an opportunity. Cian Hilton 4, 10 and 25. So his form improved throughout the week last week, and Jeremy Bray, the coach, has decided that to go with someone who's in slightly better touch. He did look like he had a good mindset, I thought, especially in that final game.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about it in the earlier game about maybe a different set of characteristics in this particular ground, and Cian Hilton certainly fits that. Energetic, up and down, look for twos, very much his way. Can't hit boundaries, of course, but he's a very energetic player, and perhaps him and Doheny could run well between the wickets here. Ruben Wilson will start with a wide delivery, which is left by Doheny, but umpire Ian Sievert thinks it's within the lines, and Wilson will go with a dot ball to start.
Yeah, it looked like well, if it had been a little bit straighter, it would have been a very long half volley. It was floated up there by Ruben Wilson, who's had a pretty tough reintroduction to interprovincial cricket. Very young still, so I'm sure that won't worry him too much. They've opted to stick with him and drop Matthew Hollard, who probably had slightly better figures last week, but they've gone with the youngster, which is good to see. He's got good history in the competition, and he's one that's been kind of marked for the future very early on, isn't he?
Yeah, good to see him staying on this side. Does need a little bit of cricket. I think he's been missed at the start of the season with a talk about youngster. He's doing his schoolwork still. He's doing a little bit of leaving exams, etc. So missed out on the opening bit of the season. So good to see him staying in.
Big edge, and that flies over George Dockrell at slip. And certainly going hard at it, Stephen Doheny. His opening boundary.
Yeah, definitely not where he would have wanted his opening boundary to go. Straight over the top of Dockrell, no chance for the slip. And the opening boundary, not only for Doheny, but also the Reds.
little bit of shape that's troubled Doheny ever so slightly. You just see him at the non-striker's end using his hand to show that that went away. Just wonder if it was shape from the swing or off the pitch. Sometimes difficult to tell if it's late swing or seam movement. We didn't really get to watch too much of the bowling warm-up, did we, Ali? Because
I was
I'm
just
just
about
thinking,
to say exactly that.
who was the best mitter out there on show?
Yeah, we missed a bit of it.
We're ranking the assistant coach's mitting capabilities. Won't release our data too soon.
Well, I think we need a little bit more data, yeah. And a good look at it last week, to be fair.
Just slightly too straight. A big vacant area in mid-wicket. Barry McCarthy putting in the big strides. He'll keep it to a couple. Just a little bit slow over the outfield, you'd think, because of that rain we had just before the start of play.
Usually dries up here pretty quickly. So the wind usually comes across, as you mentioned earlier. That wind has kind of dropped, thankfully, because it means that the weather we've got right now does tend to sit. And hopefully this stays for a while and will dry out that ground. Probably another reason why lightning bolt. That's a play and a miss again. Hilton. Ends Wilson's over. Bit unfortunate with the boundary. Just the other two scoring shots. And the Reds, after two, move on to 9 for 1.
A good sign is that from Reuben Wilson. Perhaps he was, with the straight boundaries being so short last week in Cork, he didn't feel he could pitch it up as much as he would have liked, and doesn't quite have the short ball game yet. It'd be interesting to know how he feels about it. It looks a lot more comfortable bowling here today, and well, the boundary that he got hit for was a pretty short delivery, in fact. But lovely shapes, and good to see him being backed by the coaching staff.
Yeah, even on that very small sample size of 1 over, definitely looked more comfortable in his run-up, smoother, and what he was trying to do with the ball. So we'll see how he goes, whether he's going to get another in the power play or the Lightning will mix it up. They're not going to mix it up from the City end, no surprise there. Not going to get the ball out of Barry McCarthy's hand for his second over.
Quick single, David Delaney's first part on the game. He'll be keen to see if he bowls, when he bowls. Where is he going to be put into the batting lineup? Because he's been in very, very good form with bat in hand for Clontarf. New captain of the Clontarf team said he's finding it very difficult when I asked him about it a few weeks ago. I think everyone should have to captain at least once, so you have a bit of sympathy for your captain, especially at club level.
I actually like to hear that. I hate to see somebody telling me captaincy is easy. You're not doing it right then. And behind it by Hilton. DeFreitas mops up in the covers. Yeah, if you say a captaincy's easy, then either your team is magnificent and you're winning by 10 wickets or 300 runs, or you're not doing it right.
Just a little bit of concern. Harry Tector off the field right now. He's in the tent. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. I think it's Dylan Lewis is on the field in his place. He's standing up and having a drink, so hopefully it's just a bit of stiffness. He might have your injury, Addy. Looks like he's stretching the back.
Sympathise. There's that full ball again. Barry McCarthy manages to get the bat down in time. And as per usual, this T20 tournament, there's only 1 over where he's been targeted. McCarthy, otherwise than that, he's been first couple of overs on day 2 that he played, the day 1 that he was in the tournament. First couple of overs went for a few, but since then he's been right on the money and not giving away many runs at all.
Yeah, 2 slips in, so he's feeling confident. I've watched the earlier game and seen how valuable wickets are. He steps across. Oh well, that's a I think you had to think about that, Mark Hawthorne. He was starting to head off towards the offside and then decided he would give it out. Cian Hilton, I think the fact that he moved to the offside and looked to play leg side, that's what's done for him. So Barry McCarthy, just as he did in the first over, full straight, LBW, he gets his man. Cian Hilton elevated to number 3. It doesn't pay off for the Munster Reds. He goes for 2 from 6. The Reds in a spot of bother early on, 10 for 2.
Yeah, carbon copy in terms of the appeal from Barry McCarthy. Height, maybe. The only thing here, he did get across to the offside. There you can see he's outside. Maybe height was in line. He does take a little bit of a look back that time, Barry McCarthy, because it took probably Mark Hawthorne that long to give the decision. But again, it goes in McCarthy's favour. For me, height, the only thing there, the line was decent.
Yeah, I just wonder, had he got himself outside the line as well? Very difficult to tell from that angle, but you can see all 3 stumps, almost all 3 on the other side. Look how far he moves across here. And the height's definitely okay.
It's okay,
it's
actually.
The line for me,
angle.
I think if you went upstairs, the umpire's call and the umpire said out. So it's for the batsman, difficult one to take, but yeah, the favour goes in Brian McCarthy's column there. 2 slips remain in. Suleiman Safi, not what he would have wanted to be out in the 3rd over. And when you haven't been scoring runs, the heart just quickens a little bit more when you're coming in and your team are in strife. I hope he's going to come out and think, right, I've just got to get down the other end. Stephen Doheney's in good form. He can score the bulk while I try and get myself in here. It's full and straight again.
In trouble.
It's 3 out of 3. 3 out of 3 LBWs for Barry McCarthy. Suleiman Safi's horrors continue. And Munster Reds, they're in a real hole now, 10 for 3. They've done it before. They're certainly used to being in this situation, but they need a partnership here. Suleiman Safi goes for a naught from just 1 ball. Munster Reds 10 for 3.
Yeah. Pit stop. Safi doesn't get the bat out in front. He's pinned. Really trying to play across the line, and that to me looked pretty good from the moment it hit Safi. And first ball, he goes. As you mentioned, you have a rough time of it. And he's into pros. And I tell you what, I'm trying to do the maths here. What's that? 52 for 13 over the last sort of hour's worth of cricket.
Yeah.
Seeing some wickets here at the moment.
Well, I remember last year for the IP20, we did a few games where the first innings it looked like people weren't scoring enough runs, but then the second team bats and you realise that a good score is maybe not as many as you thought. Philippe Laru in at number 5 for Munster Reds. He did well in the final game, didn't he, for Munster Reds when they lost to Leinster Lightning, but he made 64 not out from 36. It's always useful when you've made the runs not only in the last game but against the same opposition. So between these two and then John McNally's the other player in the Munster Reds lineup that's been in good form. They're the 3 that they'll be relying on in the past and in today's game.
Yeah, looks very like it. He did well to catch up in that game and then kick on. He got himself in. See if he can do the same. Another hat-trick ball. And another one could be close. Oh. Well, let's have a look at Barry McCarthy here. There's heads on hands all over the place. Dockrell still going. Hand over the mouth for Harry Tector. Hands on hips for McCarthy. When's he going to move?
3 slips in for the hat-trick ball. Going down.
Yeah, it's going down, I think.
Yeah, could be going down. I think there could be a little bit of complaining from the umpire as well about this carry-on. It's just taking it slightly too far. Yeah. But look, it was a brilliant over from McCarthy. 2 wickets in it. He always thinks it's out. He's like the batters who never think they're out. You have to hit all 3 stumps for them to be out. But anyway, look, it's been brilliant from McCarthy. He's always good for the Leinster Lightning. Brings a special level of energy to the boys in blue. It's going to be a change of bowling. Ruben Wilson just getting the 1 over from the Dundonald end. It's going to be Melvin Deverage. He had a mixed bag of performances last week. Wasn't happy on day 1. Came back well in the second game. 3 wickets in that second game. Bowled decently in the final one.
A bit of nip back there. First ball. I think I mentioned it down in court, and I didn't think Brian McCarthy's figures from Pembroke last year would be challenged unless somebody took 6 for. Well, he's given it a bit of a go today. Could have been sitting on 4 off just 2 overs. 3 runs on the board. So it's been good from the Lightning. First up, you have to give them all credit. Lovely shot. Will only be 1 as Wilson comes across. And the other thing is, again, you look down and sort of 20 balls, and Donny's only had 7. Had to watch a little bit that last over. He's the man in form. You'd like to see him getting as much strike as you can.
Yeah, difficult for him. He dealt with it so well last week when he scored that 150, but the more these things happen, the more the frustration will start to kick in for Doherty. Interesting field this for Melvin Deverage. We saw early on he's kind of angling it in, but he's only got 3 on the leg side. So it's almost like the field is set in case he bowls it wide, rather than what his natural field should be, taking it back into the right-handers.
Yeah, there's nobody at mid-wicket, just a mid-on. So you would have thought that would have been the place for the fielders, but okay so far. Yeah, it's a little lucky. Takes the inside edge, but maybe 1.
Really good fielding from Gavin Hoey there. Yep. Ran the angle perfectly to make sure it was just a single. That one there came in quite sharply for Laru. Opted to have a slip instead of a mid-wicket, so he's probably there. We have seen a bit of nip around, so in case Deverage manages to get one to straighten, he's there for the wicket-taking option as opposed to the run-saving option in mid-wicket. Well, another edge for Doherty. Go hard or go home, he says. He's going hard for now. Munster Reds will be hoping he doesn't have to go home back to the tent.
Last week we watched balls sailing over mid-on and mid-off for 6. And this week Doherty's hit 2 very similar shots. 1 over slip and 1 over short third man. Both have gone for 4. That's accounted for 8 of his 11. Okay. That's a beautiful comeback from Deverage. You've said about him just nipping them back. And he's beaten the defensive shot of Stephen Doherty. And this is top stuff from the Lightning. 4 down already. And the danger man, Stephen Doherty, goes for just 11, bowled by Melvin Deverage.
This is the perfect delivery from Melvin Deverage. 11 from 9 for Stephen Doherty. He had to watch a lot. He's just having to think about that delivery. It was going to take a good one to get him out, and it was a brilliant one. Have a look at the length. I think that's the key, because Doherty's staying leg side of the ball, wants to free the hands, doesn't know whether to come forward or go back, and in the end doesn't quite pick the line. Top of off is bowling coach's dream. So it's right here, the game. These 2 youngsters, Philippe Laru and John McNally, the other 2 batters who've shown really good promise in the Munster Reds batting lineup, and they come together at the end of the 4th over with the score 16 for 4. Just think of Jeremy Bray, the coach, in the dugout, head and hands, because it's an ugly looking batting cards. They're not quite at the level of Northern Knights yet. Highest score from between those two teams is Doheny on 11. But Munster Reds need to dig themselves out of a hole to get anything on the board to bowl at. Going for the juggler, Barry McCarthy. As we just wait for a school child, I think, in the deep to head off home after a day in school. Good positive shot from Laru. Difficult to know what mindset to have if you're Laru and McNally out there, Ali.
Yeah, really tough now. And they've got, not often you can say you've plenty of time in a T20 match, but they have the time. But at only 16 for 4, not only have they lost all the wickets, they've only scored at 4 and over in the power play. And that balance between trying to keep the scoreboard going at some rate, but also knowing you really can't take any risks at the moment.
Quick single. David Delaney just couldn't get the throw away, but maybe a little bit too risky, especially with the 4 wickets down inside the first 4 overs. I'm not sure.
Yeah, last thing you would really want on the bucket list there would be a run out after what we've watched.
Once again, a little bit darker overhead as the clouds roll in. Munster Reds might be looking to the sky for some help if they lose another one. Sean McNally, left-hander, 2 slips in place for him. Well, a leave in T20. He said he has time.
Well, that says it all really about where we're at right now. Has a good look at it, leaves it outside the off stump. But yeah, McNally's been the one who's really gutsed it out for the Reds last week. And went a lot under the radar in that partnership with Doheny, because as well as Doheny was playing against the Knights, he had nobody to stay with him. There was wickets falling. McNally gave himself a little while to get in, made 40, but allowed Doheny to keep going at the other end.
Barry McCarthy up and about here, and 3 for 4. Don't usually say you should face anyone out, and I'm not really saying that you should, but low risk cricket.
Yeah, I've seen Barry McCarthy's old stomping ground over the weekend in Durham.
A good thing that he decided to stick with Ireland, isn't it, and not stay over in Durham.
Oh, it's another great delivery, just going across McNally that time.
Yeah, quite marked movement away from McNally. Almost too much actually to take a wicket. There's that bit of rain that's been around. We've had two lots of rain, well 3 in fact. 3 lots of rain throughout the day. Just wonder if that's adding to the kind of 2-pace nature of the pitch. Jared Wilson, I think it was, that was bowling in the second innings in the game earlier today, seemed to be bowling 10 kilometres faster than we saw him bowl last week.
Fielded by second of those 2 slips, Tim Tector. Just the 1 from Barry McCarthy's 3rd over. His figures of 3 for 4, 4 for 3 if you're whichever you want. 3 wickets for 4 runs, let's put it that way. 17 for 4, the Munster Reds. There's your bowling figures on the right hand side of your screen. Yeah, pretty good reading if you're supporting the Leinster Lightning. Barry McCarthy, 3 overs, 3 wickets, 4 runs. Reuben Wilson just the 1 for 7, and Deverage picking up a wicket in his only over. Key wicket of Stephen Doheny. He's going to get a second. Bowling to Philippe Laru.
Philippe Laru just taking a step down the pitch. Well read from Devraj. Digs it in. Could have easily flown to George Dockrell at slip there.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that it takes the top half of the glove. It can just balloon a little bit to slip, but for Laru, managed to get it on the bottom half of the glove and it went down. Good thinking from the bowler as well. Yeah, we saw a 7-over game earlier on, or 7-over innings, which was a wee bit different, and this again is a little bit different. Difficult for the batters. Can't, obviously, as we've mentioned a few times, take many risks, but squeeze is really on from the Lightning. Got to bowl to your field, and they're certainly doing that at the moment. Dangerous. Oh, don't see that too often. A little fumble from Harry Tector as he was trying to affect the run out.
I think it was well judged single. A little bit of pace taken off in the shot. Had to move to his left and forward, Harry Tector. So even if he had collected, I don't think he would have run Laru out. So rushing even more than usual forces the error. They're going to need a lot more of that type of effort. Turning ones into twos. I reckon George Dockrell will probably stay and slip for the full 20 overs by the looks of him. He's not keen to head out of there. Good looking shot, but Tim Tector, no one to him there, even though he's had to run about 10 yards outside the circle.
Ball again. Has noticeable very little width on offer here so far. Trying to bowl the stumps. Obviously McCarthy with his 3 LBWs. Came in at the stumps quite a lot.
Yeah, just with that delivery you just think of if that had been bowled last week and someone had been just the way that everyone was playing last week, that probably would have been whacked over mid-off's head. It's just situations play in your mind. You can't take risks. You can't play the shots you normally would. Almost managed to get himself out there, John McNally. Couldn't have picked the one fielder out in the deep any better if he tried. So just a couple of singles from the second of Devraj's overs. Excellent figures for him, 1 for 7. Power play is over and it belongs to the Leinster Lightning, 18 for 4. 19 for 4, excuse me.
Well, just that single was put down as a dot ball from the scorers there, but quickly changed.
They've done me.
They've done you up like a fish pie, as we say up here. So 19 for 4 it is, but it is only 1 run difference, and definitely power play goes to the Lightning. Say maybe a good toss to win. The pitch does look as if it's doing a little bit here, but they bowled really well. Say very little width to let the batters get any free shots. And bowl to a field.
Lorcan Tucker obviously feels like it's seam is more difficult to play here because he's opting to stick with Seaman. Reuben Wilson replacing Barry McCarthy. Usually see Gavin Hoey straight out of the power play. Punch down the ground, no mid on. David Delaney has a big chase on. Doesn't need to overhit it. John McNally. Oh, that's an excellent piece of fielding. That's perfect technique for that type of boundary fielding. Gets the ball away from the rope before he tries to take the tumble and saves a run.
Not only that, away from his body as well, so that he doesn't hit it back into his body. Flicked it back away from him. Excellent chase for, first of all, getting down there and then affecting that. So good signs at even at 19 for 4. Making sure an extra run isn't given away. Brings Laru on strike.
Nice confident shot for no run. Yeah, David Delaney chasing after that ball. I always think he was given extra fast twitch muscles or something. There's nothing that he does slowly, nothing that isn't done with power. Even when he's talking to you, it's done with lots of energy.
Yeah, that's very true. You see him back in into pro cricket again. Sort of wondered last week. He wasn't in the squad, but he's back in now. Already part of the game.
A little waft. That's been the first one that hasn't looked assured from this pair. A real thinking from Laru.
You also see that Little Milson's found his razor as well. He's taken off that little tash that he had last week, which seems to have been the norm these days. Matthew Humphries seems to have started a little bit of a trend.
I think Mark Adair might have a chat with you about who started it.
Quick single. That's a good single. Yeah, I think Sparky's had his a while. Last year it was the test match. Matthew Humphries appeared with this little handlebar.
The little handlebar.
Yeah, and a few have followed.
So we'll call him Matthew Humphries trendsetter from now on, is that it?
Well, he got a little bit of notoriety online last year during the test match, let's put it that way.
Yeah, good run again. Good understanding from these two. Philippe Laru actually got in the way of the deflection there. You wonder if there could have been a second run. Much needed with the score on 24 for 4 with one left in the 7th. Good closing from Wilson, the 3 at the start and then a couple of singles. I mean, there are 5 from that over. 24 for 4 after 7.
Yep, they'll just look a wee bit more comfortable this week. Wilson, well, they're just getting a few games under his belt there last week, but those look more comfortable, and this will be interesting now. I always feel he's talked about cricketers in Ireland as David Delaney. And he's going to get a ball here at the Dundonald end. 24 for 4 off 7.
Yeah, bowling to his club mate John McNally. 2 of the youngsters coming through. David Delaney doesn't really have that tag anymore, does he? Because there are so many younger than him in the competition. 2 of them out there in the middle for the Munster Reds, trying to see what they can amass for their team.
Good start from both there in a way. Delaney on the mark, but really happy to tuck it into the leg side.
Yeah, pity not to see David Delaney's cousin Gareth on the other team. They've been hit with a number of injuries, Munster Reds.
Lovely shot. Pierces the gap. Beautiful shot from Laru. Goes for a boundary. That's been certainly and easily the shot of this innings so far from the Reds.
Yeah, not huge competition, but a beautiful stroke through the offside. Extra pace, helping the ball onto the bat, and Melvin Deverage gives chase but can't reel it in. David Delaney taking a tumble. He's another one of those bowlers. Josh Manley's one. You often see losing their footing on their follow through. Just air's too full for me. David Delaney early in his spell, especially in T20 cricket.
You mentioned Gareth there. Shout out to him. Injury he has. A few weeks.
I saw Curtis Camphor the other day as well. He says he's back training. He's hoping to be back playing before too long.
Yeah, I think he'll be a wee bit closer. Big miss for the Reds, obviously.
Yeah, Curtis Camphor is supposed to be the captain of this team, isn't he? So there have been a few deputies. Philippe Laru in the first day last week and Stephen Doheny since then. That doesn't look very comfortable for the left-handed batter, does it? For when David Delaney bowling over the wicket and in at the hip. I think if he can hit that length against Laru, he might be in business. Slip has gone out though, so that's one mode of dismissal he doesn't have to worry about.
Short pulled into the leg side. Down there. Well fielded. I would say that is well fielded. He's kept it down to 1.
It's been a good over in the context of the game for Munster Reds. A boundary and 4 singles. And I suppose for these two out in the middle, it's just focus on the now. Don't worry about the power play. I was going to say the first few overs, but really the power play. 19 for 4 in that first 6 overs. Put it behind you. Good sharp stuff from David Delaney. Troubling John McNally, goes for a dot in the final. 8 from that one, 8 gone. 32 for 4 of the Reds.
Yep, just a little bit extra pace in that one. He played it well though. It's the type of thing, before that last ball, I was just thinking that the Reds have to do. They picked up the boundary, but also scored off every ball. Got to still keep the run rate as high as they can. You're right, I think that it was clear for us that seam was the way to go until now, because straight after the power play you usually see spinner coming on. They've waited an extra couple of overs. It's going to now be Gavin Hoy, who, as he has done so often recent Interpro series tournaments, he's top on the wicket charts with 6. There's 3 others alongside him.
And just the 2 games that he's played as well.
Played 2 games, yep.
And the first. Straight away, Philippe Laru, proactive, moving to the leg side. They're not going to let Gavin Hoey just bowl at them, these 2.
Yeah, I think that's key against Gavin Hoy, and any spinner really you could say that for, but particularly Hoy gets into a good rhythm, a good pace. That's what he did last week. Becomes difficult to score off.
Good fielding. De Freitas as well there. Can be very difficult when a leg spinner is bowling to a left-hander in particular. An extra cover, it just starts to leave you to your right-hand side. Judged it perfectly. George Dockrell just moving it ever so slightly to his left. As well, to get it under the bat almost there. Gavin Hoey doesn't give the arms to John McNally. Dylan Lewis, it was interesting to see Lorcan Tucker just asking him to take a few steps in. He feels like the catch might be on there at long on and long off.
Good hard sweep. Actually proved to be a negative because it got to the fielder a lot quicker as he hit it so well. Seamus Lynch out there. Keeps it down to 1.
Shorter one makes McNally thinks he can affect a pull, but he doesn't manage it. 3 singles from that opening Hoey over. 9 gone, and Munster Reds looking to rebuild. 35 for 4.
Yep, a difficult situation as we've mentioned a few times for these two, but good situation as well for 2 young players to come in here and not particularly see what it's all about because they're well used to it, but just really try and get their team back into it, take the mantle themselves, not leave it up to anybody else. As we've talked about a few times, there's no more difficult team to play against when they're on top than the Leinster Lightning. They will usually keep going and keep their foot on the throttle. So a really good test for Laru and McNally.
Delaney continuing. Much better length into the pitch. The problem when you're that bit quicker is there's so much focus on you putting all of your effort into getting the ball down there as quickly as you can. Rockets, as David would call them. Those of us who don't have that power focus a little bit more on accuracy. So the absolute best players will take players who aren't very quick down, but if you're a little bit quicker and you're not on the mark, you tend to go the distance. We'll pick up to the leg side. Clever thinking from Laru. Senses the fuller delivery coming, clips it off the legs for a very stylish boundary through mid-wicket.
Yep, almost on cue. Just over pitch there and using the pace. He did step across a little bit. And again, Delaney goes down. Actually going to comment on his follow through. He does have a little skip. I always kind of think that he's injured himself the way he goes through. Maybe a hammy's gone or something.
Stand and deliver. That slap down the ground with authority by Laru. Sends the shorter one following the full one and helps it over over the bowler's head. In fact, straight back over his head. And David Delaney just has to have a big sigh.
Yeah, I think he was a little hand up there to his captain. Straight away there, that wasn't what he was attempting, or if it was what he was attempting, just wasn't quick enough there because Laru was all over it. Back-to-back boundaries. He was sent back, so he's able to do the fielding and hurls one all the way back to Lorcan Tucker.
Well, Delaney spells actually just what Munster Reds needed. He looks in a mood now, which you can understand. Everyone else is bowling in a very miserly fashion. He's the only one that's been slightly, not for 17s, not terrible by any stretch, but in this game it's been expensive. You just wonder, all the rest of the bowlers, Ruben Wilson included, because he played the 3 games last week, have more inter-pro cricket under their belts, so maybe just not quite ready for this level. David Delaney. The clarity of thought that you had to have as a bowler last week was just so difficult, so it feels like lots of people figured out their plans, got the cobwebs out, came into today with very clear bowling plans. David Delaney missed out on that. Very good.
Last ball again. A little bit shorter. And that's 10 overs gone. All the fours. 44 for 4. Munster Reds.
A brilliant final delivery that to John McNally, who looks a little bit peeved at not having been able to score off that final delivery. Just wonder if it's because it's his teammate who's really not enjoying not being able to get on top of him.
Yeah, it's going back to what you were saying there about David Delaney. He's obviously played club cricket quite a lot this season. And a lot of people might say, well, as a bowler, you know, club cricket into pro cricket, what's it do? You just go down and bowl the same way. Different batter at the other end, obviously, in terms of level, but you can just bowl. But it does take that extra little step up as a bowler.
Yeah.
The batter's part of it, of course, but it does the level of intensity that you play at. So it does take a little bit of time to get used to it again.
Reverse sweep. George Dockrell doesn't manage to stop it. Ruben Wilson has a chase on. Does well. Once more, perfect technique there in trying to chase that down. And Leinster Lightning just fielding with such energy, considering how well it's gone so far. They're just not willing to give anything away. Went straight through the hands of Dockrell. He did get a little bit of something on it. That's what stopped the boundary. And Wilson helps as well.
Yeah, again, she mentioned excellent technique. I'm not saying just trying to stop the ball, but there is a technique to it. Making sure that the ball doesn't come with you. Just go for the boundary for 4 anyway to put all that effort in. It'll be work again. And he'll not get this one. This one will go for 4. So just little green shoots here for the Munster Reds. That brings up the 50.
Yeah, fine again, almost the exact same place, but obviously a left-hander this time. And it's not an area he's known for, John McNally, but he is a very good sweeper of the ball. Generally tends to play more classical shots straight down the ground, but does play hockey. He has very good wrists. So even though he's quite tall and has always been tall for his age, a very good sweeper. Goals of 2, but it's straight towards Tim Tector there. The key, of course, is that it either drops on the ring or you get it right between the fielders and the deep. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how quick you are, you're not going to come back for 2. George Dockrell has been dispatched from slip duties.
It's taken 10 overs, but they've managed to do that. So another little tick in the win column for the Reds. There he is.
In the action straight away.
Good captaincy.
Another strong sweep this time. He manages to get it between the fielders. It's been a very valuable over for the Munster Reds. A couple of boundaries in it and the 3 and a delivery to go. And usually their partnership breaker, Gavin Hoey, he's been expensive this over.
Yeah, good proactive stuff from Laru. Got himself in here and then placed that one perfectly. 2 men back. A couple of boundaries and a 3. That'll be a single, possibly 2 because he's got it wide. It's Harry Tector, but got it wide enough out there, and 2 more. So an excellent over for the Munster Reds. After 11 overs, they have now moved on to 58 for 4. Good stuff.
Yeah, 14 from that over. Very, very good. And that final shot shows that they're aware of the dimensions. He very purposely just made sure he missed extra cover, didn't try and hit it for 4. If he had, he probably would have just picked out the boundary fielder, Harry Tector. He put it in front of him and then put in the steps. Come back for a couple. Current run rate just 5.27. But considering they were 16 for 4 after 4, it's been a rebuild since then. 7 overs. they've managed to negotiate without losing another wicket. David Delaney has been taken off, and it's Melvin Deverage to bowl his third. Definitely looks like McNally's got the pace of the pitch now. That was a very assured shot to open this over.
Yeah, and I know you talked last week and possibly earlier this morning about how this tournament will move along and the ups and downs of a tournament rather than just playing one game here, one game there. You can see it. And although obviously the Reds don't want to be in the position, you can then see a little bit about this. This is a perfect scenario. These two can really build on this, and the coaches will see that. You know, this is a difficult situation and they haven't just given it away. Call too early again. Might not get it this time. He will. He's quick. Well done from Laru. Good running as well. That backs up the good play.
It's interesting because in these kinds of situations you get asked, why not, like, there's three guys in form, why are they not the top three in the order? The answer is you don't just put your highest run scorers up the top. If you're putting together a batting order, there's positions for different types of players, and they obviously feel that going forward, Laru and McNally are their 5 and 6. As that's lofted over mid-off, a stunning looking stroke as Laru just going through the gears with ease here in Stormont, dealing in boundaries the last couple of overs.
This is really nice from Laru. You see a lot of, particularly last week, a lot of players bludgeoning the ball over the boundary. Laru seems to be much more of a classical player, timing the ball and putting it into areas. Played a couple of lovely shots through the covers in that one. He went deliberately aerial.
Yeah, field of change there. Mid wicket went out, fine when came up, so just telegraphs the slower ball ever so slightly. Just to finish that point about the batting lineup, we've mentioned the players that aren't in the Munster Reds team. So rather than just bringing McNally up to 3 and Laru up to 2 or whatever it is as the 50 partnership comes up, they're keeping them in the positions that they should be in if they're at full strength. So what number Gareth Delaney's going to be, maybe he's going to open. Curtis Camphor, you'd imagine he'll be 3. And so it's about giving the consistency and getting these players used to where they're going to play for a long period of time, rather than worrying about just this one game. It's a long game.
Yep, situations they're going to be in. It's a really good point, because as you say, a lot of people will just look and see, well, John McNally's the highest run scorer for the Reds, 114 runs in the tournament, just pop him up to 3 there and let him go for it. And on occasion you might do that, but generally his role will be in that middle order. It could be out. I think he's got a nick on that. He just talked him up. But it's a nice piece of bowling again from Deverage. He's come back to break that partnership, which was going along really nicely for the Munster Reds. Exactly 50. And it can't go on. The 5th wicket goes. Caught Tucker. Bull Deverage for 14.
A really good piece of bowling this from Deverage. Just what Leinster Lightning will have wanted to break this partnership. Caught it on the inside, kind of bottom edge there. Just about reached Lorcan Tucker. I'll have a look now and see, was there a change in pace? Did he just angle it in? No, angled in. Good skills from Deverage, able to bring it into the right-hander but also into the left-hander. No real conviction in that shot from John McNally. He didn't even wait to see the umpire's finger go up. He marched off, but pretty good partnership between him and Laru. He definitely struggled in that innings. John McNally came in with his team in tatters, truth be told. But some more work to be done. The man into the team today, Zubair Hassan Khan, comes in at number 7. Very tall batsman. He was training very hard down in Cork last week, wasn't he? He was at any opportunity out in the middle, bowling, batting, taking the chance to get some extra overs under the belt and a few more balls hit down at the Mardyke. Sometimes it's the exact right person you want out in the middle, because he's not too worried about the situation in the team. He's just thinking, right, I've got my chance, I've got to take it. Gavin Hoey's got a chance to come back here. His expensive last over.
Yep, exactly right. You say there, they've waxing there lyrical about the partnership and how well they've done, but it's really only just got them a small foothold in the game. They've got to keep going now from where they were. Well hit again from Laru. Really well hit. De Freitas didn't have too far to go to his left, but flies over the boundary. Times the ball really well, does Philippe Laru.
Yeah, I'd love to get a look at that bat. The sound of it was fantastic. Onto the front foot, and the bottom hand acceleration through is just exceptional. Doesn't even give it a full swing of the bat. It's just kind of 50%, isn't it? You wonder what would happen if he swings for the hills.
Well, I think that's the way he's playing here at the minute. He's not playing within himself in terms of sort of looking to score, but he does seem to be a timer rather than sort of a hitter. Maybe this ground will suit him perfectly. We've mentioned last week, lots more 6s than 4s you would normally see, whereas this week we're anticipating that it'll be boundaries. We'll keep the scoring rate. Obviously the 6s will help, but we do sort of envisage it being a more boundary hitting ground. Maybe we'll suit Laru really well. Not so many lost balls here in the tournament, you would think, this week.
Although it can be difficult when it goes into those trees over there.
Yeah. It did take a while to come back.
I think Leinster Lightning are fully aware of the 2s that are on offer to these boundaries, so that the boundary riders are in off the rope. I just wonder, is that necessary? Maybe don't worry so much about the 2s, worry about the strongly hit shots that are going to go over the boundary, because I think it's Chris de Freitas out there. Would he have been able to stop that 4 from Philippe Laru if he had been on the rope? Great shot to start him off.
Yeah.
Big reach of Zubair Hassan Khan means that he's able to send that straight of extra cover, but Brian McCarthy has to go a long way to cut it off, wide long off. No surprise that the slip is back in. I always wondered, does Lorcan Tucker have to call George Dockrell, or does he just jog in whenever there's a new batsman and he knows? Former captain's prerogative.
Doesn't time that one. 73 for 5 as you come up to the end of 13.
Tim Tector, just having watched him over the last, he wasn't playing the first day, but 3 days of Interpro cricket. I think he might be up there with best anticipators in the field, in the ring. I don't know how he stopped a single there. So the boundary, a single and a 2 in that one. Gavin Hoey finishes 3, and he's without a wicket so far, so that's a win for Munster Reds. 13 gone, 73 for 5.
Yeah, we were just chatting about it jokingly in between matches about that's when I used to field in covers. That's kind of what, you're right, that was part of what I was thinking. You're trying to watch the batsman and trying to work out where the shot's going to be likely and trying to anticipate it, because in the ring that split second can make the difference between stopping a run or Bonus would be a run out, of course, but you're trying to stop singles and trying to build pressure by squeezing a little bit. So just that little anticipation of where the ball's going to go, really important in the ring in particular.
Absolutely, and it's just for batters who aren't sure if it's a single, if they look up and they see you in a particular position, that split second before they can decide. Once you don't call yes straight away, the chance is gone. Deverage continues, another strong shot, and the placement once more from Laru, excellent, as he powers himself towards another half century. Playing a lone hand, but he's playing a good one.
Yeah, very much so. A very similar shot that he played in the last over off the spinner there. Just stays nice and still as he's playing the shot. And again, picks the gap. 46 now.
Powerful through the offside, work to do in the deep. Just about cuts it off out there. I think it's...
He doesn't.
Oh, it's gone through. It's 50 up for Laru. Bit of luck for Munster Reds, and his teammates appreciate the huge effort he's put in. He was watchful at the beginning, gone through the gears, and now he's really enjoying himself here at Stormont. 50 from 33 deliveries, 8 boundaries.
Yeah, very similar to the innings he played last week against the Lightning. It's the Freitas, or is it Seamus Lynch? Is it the Freitas? I think it is. No, Seamus Lynch. Maybe disappointed with that, but very similar innings that he played last week against the Lightning. Watchful early on, but very much catching up.
What kind of a shot is that? That's unbelievable stuff from Philippe Laru. Not even a ramp, it was like a, I don't know what you call that.
I think it's a reverse sweep. What would you call it?
Yeah, it is reverse sweep. It's like a hockey shot.
Hockey shot, yeah.
But he
catches it on the full.
It's like a reverse deflection, because he didn't go all the way through with the shot. You know you're in good form if that occurs to you to play that shot. 3 4s in a row. Deverage's figures ruined. He was 2 for 14 from 3 before this over. Another opportunity. Lynch can redeem himself. Does cut this one off. Be another couple.
Yep, and he's putting together quite a decent interprovincial season. Here's Laru. Batted well in the IP20 tournament so far as well. Back-to-back scores now in the T20. Down the wicket and immediately calls 2. He'll get back comfortably.
I'm always keen to see when someone comes on the scene like Laru would have for the under-19s, and you put them into a category, right? They're really good at X, Y, and Z. For him, it was probably manipulating with ramps and sweeps and things like that. How do they move on from that, and can they add shots? And most importantly, can they have 6 scoring areas, because you can only have 5 out in the men's game? Is there always one fielder that you'd love to have out as a bowler? I feel like Laru is getting there with his game now. He's always been good at knocking it around, quick between the wickets, run well, swept well, but now he's added the shots over the offside as another expensive over comes to an end. 17 from that. 90 for 5 after 14, and Philippe Laru showing that he has the ability to hit almost all the way around the ground, and I can guarantee you that gap at 45 or fine leg, he's well able to hit that as well with a ramp or 2. That's usually covered when he's facing, but the one straight down the ground over extra cover and a straight of mid wicket, he'll be really pleased with that, because he's becoming a very well-rounded batsman.
Yeah, and even that last little single there, I like that as well. He's keen to keep the strike. He just wanted to push that. He bowled me a bad ball, I'll hit it for 4, but last ball of the over, decent delivery. I'll just push that into the covers. I'll take one and I'll take charge. That's what he's appearing to do in this innings, but he's going to be up against George Dockrell now.
Dockrell does the first job, get him off strike. Now it's bowl at the other guy, Hassan Khan. I'm not going to make a joke about whether he can or he can't. But he's got a big role because he's quite different to Laru. He's really, really tall, big reach. Looks, from the little we've seen, like he's good down the ground.
There you go. That's exactly what you were talking about with Tim Tector. Gets to that because he was on the move straight away.
Yeah, just put that doubt in Khan's mind. Well, no doubt about how he's going to go about things. Massive swing. And Barry McCarthy makes a little bit of a hames of it in the deep, but they didn't run the second one hard, so just the two. I think George Dockrell will in some ways be pleased to see that attack from Hassan Khan, because you, as a spinner, you want batters that will come at you. You know that then you'll have an opportunity to take their wicket.
Yes, little tinker with the field on the offside. And there you go. It's a bit of a haymaker there from Hassan Khan.
Yeah, heave ho. If he'd played the same shot he played last delivery, I reckon it would have gone over the side screen.
Quicker ball. Up goes Dockrell. Given again. He's been busy. Mark Hawthorne. Dockrell liked it. With a quicker delivery. Beat Hassan Khan for a little bit of pace.
A good thinking from George Dockrell. 4 from 7 for Hassan Khan. 93 for 6 Munster Reds, and a little bit of a setup from George Dockrell. Regular deliveries in the previous two, and then a little bit quicker. Hassan Khan onto the back foot. George Dockrell more often than not tries to bowl on the stumps. I reckon when you're as tall as Khan is, you could probably come forward to nearly everything that Dockrell is bowling. Probably would have been a better option, but Munster Reds need something from the other end. Philippe Laru going great guns, 60 from 38. They need someone just to stay with him. Liam McCarthy coming in at number 8 for Munster Reds, the left-hander. You'd imagine the word from coach Jeremy Bray is, look, just for the next few overs, let Philippe Laru face as many as possible.
Just let him continue the way he's going.
I'm just thinking about that 3 that they didn't run. Barry McCarthy fumble in the deep. If they'd run that 3.
Yep, little things like that can come back. Dockrell's just going to come with a wicket. McCarthy, left-hander, of course. Tim Tector's in it slip. There's one ball left in the over. Negotiated by Liam McCarthy. Nice forward defensive. 15 gone. 93 for 6.
.30 balls remaining in the Munster Reds innings. Philippe Laru, well, it looked like he was trying to, in some ways, farm the strike a little bit at the beginning of that over, but or at the end of the previous over to that. Gavin Hoey being brought on now. Someone that Laru might target. A couple of overs left for Wilson, 1 for McCarthy. Deverage bowled out. Final over was a bit expensive, so he finishes 2 for 33. George Dockrell will be wondering what he's done wrong if he doesn't get another one. Yeah, switch of ends for Gavin Hoey. He'll be hoping for a switch in fortune in the wickets column. Yeah, not a bad option. especially when you're as good at those reverses as Laru is. Does force a change in the field. Point goes out and mid-on comes in. It's more like a, what would you call that position down at the scoreboard? Very backward,
very
deep
backward
point. Yeah, I thought about giving the wide there, didn't he, Aidan Seaver? Just had a flutter and then recalculated how far across Laru had gone. You have to feel for them, the umpires. There's so much to think about each delivery, isn't there? Yeah, good thinking from Gavin Hoey. All he's thinking about is getting Laru off strike.
Yeah, flirting with that line again.
They're really quick and wide. I've certainly seen Liam McCarthy hit a big ball. So I think it comes down to mindset. What we're likely to see here is he just trying to get Laru on strike, or is he going to try and take the bowling on himself? Take it on himself. Another LBW for Munster Reds, a reverse sweep from Liam McCarthy, and just not sure that was the right option for Munster Reds at this point in time. McCarthy can't make an impact. He goes for 0. Another one goes down for Munster Reds, 0 from 2 for Liam McCarthy, as Howie breaks this partnership.
Yeah, the old hindsight's the easiest game in town. Yeah, I think maybe either just look to single it. Yeah, I'm pretty confident Tucker hasn't moved from behind. More trust your game to come down the ground, really, early in your innings. First up. And you asked if the change of ends was going to work. Gavin Hoey certainly does. 7 down now, just 94 on the board. Here's our little friend back to your nabby from day one, if you remember at Cork.
Come on, back to your nabby.
Bundle of energy he was that day.
28 from 14 that first day. Didn't bat in the last game. 2 from 3 in the second. So he's averaging 15, which, you know, Munster Reds would take that. My main reason for enjoying back to Navi is the flair.
Absolutely.
Bat speed, flair, and just the manner in which he comes down the pitch. And I'd expect he probably will come at Gavin Hoey straight away. Oh, goes for the back foot.
I think you were probably right. I think you should have done.
He should have done it. Yeah, he should have been listening to me. I've got him covered. Long, very wide, long off, long on, mid wicket square. Cover on the boundary. 5 in the ring. And they're not going to take a single in the last. So just the single and the wicket in that over as Gavin Hoey finishes with very respectable figures. 1 for 25, 16 gone, 94 for 7 of the Reds.
Yeah, we're always quick to say that a bowler has his figures ruined in the last over. I think Gavin Hoey there is
rejuvenated,
yeah. His figures from 3 overs
resurrected
for 24.
maybe more. You would have said Devaraj after 3 overs was going to end up with better figures, and then Hoey pulls out an over with just a run and a wicket.
Yep.
George Dockrell
hangs on to the ball.
Does get to hang on to the ball, yeah. I don't mind it as a matchup for Nabi. I think he'll be happy to see George Dockrell bowl, because he does tend, as I said, to bowl on the stumps. He can just almost come at him and try and take him on. A deep backward point and cover, quite a square cover on the boundary, long off. Yeah, mid on in the ring, so that's the gap, is what I was about to say. And unconventional, almost a chipped sweep past mid on from Laru, but he knows his strengths. He knew exactly where he wanted to put that for yet another boundary to his tally.
That's kind of what you were intimating previously about picking your boundary option. And if you've got all those shots in your locker, then you can pick an area. That's exactly what he did there. He realised that a huge gap. We're looking right down at it. And if you can get anywhere in there, and he's sort of down towards the scoreboard here at Stormont. Quicker ball. Can't get it away.
Yeah, I think the chat there from Tucker was just, quick and outside off, let's get him off strike. We've got 2 out. Deep backward point and then a kind of a forward point on the boundary. Extra cover's been pushed onto the ring as well.
That's what happens. Get him off strike is right. High percentage of the scoring here. Laru. You can almost work it out because it's 99. He's on 66, so let's go with 65.5.
Down he comes, and down the ball goes. Doesn't quite get the contact.
Even his little jog through there has a bit of a flair.
100% agree. Absolutely love it. If you hit it like that and you know it's not going to be 2, you run as slowly as you can to get back to the end. To get to the non-striker's end at the same time as the ball. That is the challenge. And
he's really
completed
good at
it. Yeah, completed it fully.
Really good at it.
So good over this from George Dockrell, just changing things up. Very difficult to line up. Oh, good power, and that's gone forward of Harry Tector. Will they come back for a second? I think they've got to take every run on offer, as the 100 came up for that previous single from Nabi. They're now on to 102 from 17.
Yep, just giving themselves a little bit of an option to win the game here. You didn't see that at 16 for 4. McNally came in to join Laru. Good partnership there, but really it's all been about Philippe Laru here. Can he form a little partnership with Nabi? Can he back him up? Try and kick this on to 130 maybe?
Yeah, but Nabi definitely has it in his locker to hit a few boundaries, so if he can chip in almost, like we saw in the earlier game. Wilson it was, Jared Wilson, who just, was it 19, he made 12 deliveries, something like that from Nabi, maybe more like 12 from 8. He doesn't want to face too many of these, and not even 8, sorry, there's only 18 deliveries left, but don't face too many. 1 or 2 boundaries, get yourself off strike. Grips the bat so far down. Moves away, and good full ball from David Delaney. Barry McCarthy, I think it is he off the field? Or is he going to bowl the...
I was going to say, it was figures of what he's got. 3 for 4, 4 for 3.
He's on there, he's at 45. I thought I saw Dylan Lewis, so I was worried we weren't going to see the final over of the Barry McCarthy spell. They're going to take it on, has to hit. I reckon he could have been home.
Yeah, I think he was. He was on his bike straight away. Was Laru. And even though it went straight to Tim Tector, I think he might have been okay there.
Oh, to be fast, Anna McCollum.
Yeah, I know. Days are long since gone.
Did you have those fast days? Quick in your day?
Yeah.
Get up and down.
I was okay. That's all I could do was run between the wickets. I put on 50 partnership and score 1. People would say when I come in, well ran. Thanks.
They were right.
Thanks.
This is the real matchup. What can Laru do to Delaney? Oh, that's a sharp bouncer. Good bowling. Excellent from David Delaney. You can always tell from his little dance afterwards if he enjoyed what he's just delivered.
Yeah, that's what Delaney's all about. Little chat with the batter too. Like that.
Do you know, the most likely thing he would have been saying there is, well done. Well done, you got out of that really well.
Out of the way of it.
Yeah. Probably cheering Laru on.
Look for the boundary option here from Laru.
looking for the strangle down leg side, but I think it's taken the pad. Hayden Seaver had a good think about it. Well read from David Delaney, just follows Laru. A good decision, Hayden Seaver. Definitely just hit the pad. And the way day Munster Reds are having, it's the kind of thing that can go against you. It hasn't been a very happy day for them so far. They haven't bowled yet though, so don't count them out. 3 dots and just a single in this over so far.
It's really good stuff here, Delaney. Much like Hoy. Coming back here. 17 from his first 2, but just 1 from this 18th over. Difficult over.
I think David Delaney's at his best when he's thinking. He's thinking, what's the batsman likely to do? And then he just decides in a plan, puts it there. In the first few overs, he was almost just bowling as fast as he could without too much thought. It's been a well-constructed over.
They take the 2. They will. Even though it is the last ball of the over. Excellent over. Just the 3 from it. 105 for 7. And we'd mentioned there, just at the end, an over like that. You know, we're looking at 130 if you take 10 and over, and there's only 3 coming from one of the overs. Real excellent over from David Delaney. I think you're probably right. Just bowling quick earlier on and without a real plan. That over, you could clearly see he was thinking about every ball that he was going to bowl. Really good stuff.
Yeah, thinking like a batsman, because he's a very good batsman himself, and I think he'll be pleased with that comeback. Just seemed to be one step ahead of the batters, and you can see why they took the 2 there. Laru kind of thinking, look, I wasn't able to make contact with a few of those deliveries, so we've got to take every run on offer. Let's just bat as equals here. Nabby against Dockrell. Dances down, misses and gone. Still looks stylish doing it, but he didn't make contact. And the fuller, wider one that does actually turn away takes Nabby's wicket. He's only able to make 2. 8th one goes down for Munster Reds. 105 for 8.
Yeah. Thrown up outside the off stump there from Dockrell. We can see it coming a long way off there. As you mentioned, he likes a walk down the wicket. Does Nabby. And through to Tucker, he does the rest. Hits wicket, falls for 105, and it's Josh Manley. Number 28 on his back, he comes out at number 10 for the Munster Reds.
Not the worst number 10 to come out, and he'll be quietly happy, I'd say, to be out there with a couple of overs to go. Chance to hit a few boundaries for his team.
Yep, definitely rates his batting. Does Josh.
Great to see George Dockrell have such control. Used to be last year, maybe not last year, a couple of seasons ago, you'd be worried about the first few deliveries. If they went well, then you felt like he'd get into the game, but his bowling in this festival, it's just business as usual.
Yep, there's the option for Manley. He's happy to give Laru a strike.
Changing the field again. Mid-on will come up, so that's still the gap for Laru. I think it'll be quicker and wider outside off, trying to force him to hit those fielders on the offside. I do wonder for George Dockrell if maybe he'd be better off having long on out and bring square leg in, because I don't care how good a sweeper you are, if it's quick and hitting the offside wide line, difficult to get it to square leg.
That's that gap again. Down the hill. 4. There's an area. I think you're right, that area there. Where he's hit that, he's hit one straighter in the previous over on that one. Pulled a little bit more towards the fielder.
Yeah, if that's the plan, bring your mid-wicket straight or drop long on, bring square leg in. Instead, I think he's going to bring, yeah, he's bringing square leg in. I promise he doesn't have, he's not listening to us, but much better plan.
Goes behind the wicket.
That
He's connected really well with that. Really too well again. Oh, he's coming. Oh, they're on. Yes, no, after you. And they end up back where they started.
Do you know what? I think that's brilliant fielding from Chris de Freitas, because I think Laru was going to sacrifice Manley's wicket to get back on strike. And, I mean, there's only one ball left in the over, so definitely would have been a horrendous outcome. This is almost a free hit for Manley.
About to say it's a free hit, yep. As we always talk about. Last ball of the 19th. Any evens here?
Dances down, and it's
Lorcan.
Lorcan Tucker gives Manley a life. Something you don't see too often. George Dockrell will be spewing he doesn't get another one.
Yeah, keep the camera on George Dockrell here. He would have had the finger up for this one, I think.
Oh, he almost was trying to do it for Lorcan Tucker. Hands came together. He was saying, catch it. He didn't. So an opportunity to take another wicket goes for George Dockrell, but he's bowled really well. Been a great addition to the bowling lineup. Means they don't have to include a second spinner. They've got the all-round abilities of George Dockrell. 1 over to go. Nelson, 111 for 8.
Yeah, 111 for 8. Maybe not quite as much chat in the change room after that between Dockrell and Tucker. Still looking to improve his figures. And speaking of figures, here comes Barry McCarthy with pretty decent figures on the right, bottom right of your screen there.
Philippe Laru will be trying to ruin his figures.
That'll be it.
Audacious and just about evades the fingertips of Lorcan Tucker.
Gonna come back for 2. Oh, that's excellent running for me. Yes, he's got there.
Yeah, no question. He stuck with the shot for so long there, Laru. Like, I don't know how he managed to get that over Lorcan Tucker, but it was excellent delivery from Barry McCarthy.
I'll see it again, just up above Tucker.
Saved a boundary though.
And he realised possibly going to be a chance for a run out. Here's the dive. And a bit of fashion sense required there. He's got to pull the old trousers up. And
I enjoyed Josh Manley. Didn't expect the second at all. He had to put the big steps in. Chipped into the offside, chance in the deep and shelled. Well, a couple of chances have gone down in the last couple of overs. Seamus Lynch gets the big stare from big Barry McCarthy. He's not happy. He feels he should have had another one.
I was just going to get the camera on Barry McCarthy there when that went down. Sure enough, there it was. A bit of chuntering on the way back here. Should have had 4, really.
Just a little bit of, just a few missed opportunities for Leinster Lightning here. A little untidy at the close of this first innings. I think if you told them that this was going to be the score, they'd be happy, but a couple of misfields, miss-stumping, drop catch, unlike them. Josh Manley chases that. He'll be happy he didn't manage to get any bat on it.
Yeah, I think you're right. The perfectionist in the Lightning will be that they want to have a full 20 over performance. Just these last couple of overs, couple of missed chances. Changed the field again, which probably changed the ball that McCarthy's thinking about bowling. It's going through his head right now.
Yeah, mid off up backward point on the boundary. I think that was the slower ball at the wide line that he managed to send for a wide. Be pace on here. Flayed away by Josh Manley, who uses the long levers to get his first boundary and add much needed runs to this Munster Reds total.
Yep, he'll enjoy that one. Josh Manley up against his fellow fast bowler. Gets there in the full toss. Uses those arms. 2 bounces. Through and into the trees where the Lightning fielders have had to head off. That's where we lose the odd ball here at Stormont. The trees over at the road end of the ground, the Knock Road.
I just wonder about that plan from Barry McCarthy. Pace on, full and wide, with deep backward point and quite a square cover. Margin for error very
sighting of the day? Sorry, is this the first sighting of the day of the third umpire?
Yes, it is.
I think it is.
Roddy Black walking out very, very slowly. He wasn't too keen. I think the spare ball bag took a bit of a pasting last week, so they're not too keen to make use this week, hoping to build up the reservoir.
How do you find a ball which has 3 deliveries left in it?
You look deep into the reserves, that's how. They'll have to wait for a few fielders to come back. Seamus Lynch is happily taking a break from being stared down by Barry McCarthy in the trees there.
We're not going to need it because it's been located.
Yeah, so just wondering about that plan from Barry McCarthy. Full wide, pace on. I'm not sure you need your deep square then. Probably long off instead for me. Roddy Black's walk out to meet Aidan Seaver wasted because we got the ball back from the trees. Full and straight, just going down leg, much better against a tail ender, you'd think. Took him up for room.
Yep, for sure. No width at all. So use those long levers for Manley. Right then, let's see what the plan is here.
What innovation can we see from we've had the reverse kind of sweep, reverse ramps, a slap back over the bowler's head. That was probably one of my favourites early on. Classical shots.
He's had a good look at that man at short third.
Straight back down the ground. Gavin Hoey in the game. Keeps it to 2. I was just going to say he should keep his eyes off short third and have a look at the man in mid-off and see can he clear him.
Yep.
Much simpler stroke. He's shown he has the excellent technique required. Eventful over. We've had the drop catch, we've had a boundary, we've had a reverse. We got the wicket, that's what we have. 4th wicket for McCarthy. He had the field set for Laru trying to send it over and just doesn't quite manage to see his team right to the end. A brilliant hand from Philippe Laru, 80 from 57 for him, but also brilliant and maybe even more impactful McCarthy, 4 for 14 from his 4 overs. Laru hit 11 boundaries in that 80 from 57, came in with his team in serious strife and managed to elevate their total to 122 for 9, scoring almost 2/3 of their total.
Yeah, he started off from the city end by McCarthy with 3 LBWs and finishes off this last ball with a little in-tunker there. Very, very nice indeed. Just took a little bit of pace off it. Good finish from McCarthy. 4 for 14 from him. And if we look at the Munster Reds, don't need to look too hard at that scorecard to see the standout. Nobody really getting in, apart from McNally, although he only scored 14. It was a lovely partnership with Laru. But that for me, apart from Stephen Doheney's 150 last week, has been the innings of this tournament so far. 80 from 57 out of a total of 122.
Yeah, 2/3 of the runs scored off the bat, actually. Only 2 extras. Good bowling performance from the Leinster Lightning partnership that got them back underway. Laru and McNally. It was dominated by Laru, 36 for him, 14 from McNally, but they batted well together. And then little contributions from the tail helped Laru get the team to the 20th over, and in fact the last partnership was important. 17 between him and Manley.
There's your bowling for the Lightning. I thought they bowled exceptionally well up top. Did seem about a little bit earlier on. McCarthy, Wilson and Deverage. McCarthy opened up, as I say, with 3 LBWs to start with. Good support from the other bowlers, and Dockrell coming in at the end. 3 overs, 2 for 17. 1 for Hoy, 2 for Deverage, who, as I say, bowled quite well up top early. Just his last over went for a few. But McCarthy the standout, 4 for 14.
So the first half is over. Munster Reds managed to accumulate 122 for 9. Seems under par, but we've seen some ordinary batting here this morning in Stormont. Munster Reds will be hoping their bowling can take them out of a hole here against Leinster Lightning. Join us again for the run chase very shortly.
So, welcome back to the Ward Stormont for the final innings of day one of this festival in Belfast. Just in front of us there, Tim Tector and Chris de Freitas were very keen to get out there, almost ahead of the umpires and well ahead of the Munster Reds. They're right in the middle. Their bowlers have done an excellent job in the first innings, having sent Munster Reds into bat. They managed 122 from their 20 overs, and that was almost exclusively thanks to an excellent innings from Philippe Laru, who was out off the last ball of the innings for 80. And certainly without him, they wouldn't have had much to bowl at. As it is, 123 needed for the Lightning to win this second game of the day, which will take them to the top of the table. As usual over this festival, delighted to have Izzy Joyce with me again. 122, Izzy. Not a great score, but certainly a lot better than we were envisaging at one stage.
Yeah, you said it. Still can't get over that stat. 2/3 of the runs scored off the bat by Philippe Laru, just the 40 added by the rest of the team. They all got an opportunity. Liam McCarthy gets the new ball up against Tim Tector. And we saw exactly how it should be done by the Northern Knights earlier, albeit they only had 7 overs to bowl. But they came out and they took wickets early and they just kept on taking them. Very different affair here because Leinster Lightning aren't chasing the game. They don't have to chase boundaries or 6s or 4s. So by no means am I really comparing the two, but it's more about taking wickets, and then if they get an opportunity to hammer home the advantage, then they should do it, because 123, if they're still out there by the 20th over, I'll be very surprised. Leinster Lightning, either they're all out or they've got the runs.
Yeah, I don't think this will be that last over thriller we're still waiting for after 4 days of festival cricket. We haven't really seen a game get down to the wire. We should have this morning for sure in a 7 over game, but didn't turn out that way.
Oh, a bit of shape in.
Definitely, yep.
They're going to run a second, have to be quick, and they always are, these two. Chris de Freitas hasn't faced yet. He's coming off the back of a brilliant performance in the last game against this same opposition. 70 from 29. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy as it was on that day. I know mid-wicket, so an easy shot. Tim Tector doesn't need to worry about placing it. Just make sure you get bat on ball for the opening boundary of the Lightning reply.
Yeah, a little bit of exasperation let out there from McCarthy as soon as he let that go. Yeah, you can hear him, almost hear him on the replay there. Again, knew that that wasn't the ball to bowl to this field.
Did he just say catch? I think he said catch.
Did you think it was a catch? Well,
you got to put a fielder there for a catch.
Certainly wasn't going to be a catch.
He forgot that he had a slip in, maybe. Lovely shot, good hand from McCarthy, although I think the stumps would have done the job. He's stopped Mark Hawthorne from worrying too much.
Yep, definitely hasn't been as easy for the batters today. Despite that, we've seen great knocks, topping with 71. And Laru in that Reds innings with 80.
That's going to be a wide, you'd imagine. Yeah, signalled from Aidan Seaver. Cian Hilton did his best job at trying to persuade the umpires that it was fine. Jogged through, but no, it was a very big wide.
How often do you think these things work? Like the wide, down the leg side, and you sort of a big appeal and things like that. You know, how often do you think it really works?
With the appeal down leg, I reckon it's just because you don't know as a keeper. So you can't see, so you got to go up and try and back up your bowler. With that wide, maybe if it was a little bit lower, put a bit of doubt in the umpire's mind, which I think is my way of saying I've no idea. First over gone, 7 without loss.
My other old favourite, hit the bat and you point the bat at the umpire.
Yeah.
Go that one. Sometimes that's genuine, but sometimes you think, no, hang on.
To do it straight away after you've been given out LBW is tough if you haven't actually hit it.
Yeah. 6 for Tector. He faced all of the deliveries in that over. And no surprise to see Josh Manley right on your screen there, going to open the bowling for the Reds from the Dundonald end.
He's the man who seems most likely to take early wickets.
Yep, runs or wickets. Not going to be dull, I don't think, with Manley.
6 wickets in the opening festival, 3 on the first day, 2 on the second, 1 on the last. So he's equal top wicket taker coming into today. Gavin Hoey's on top now, I think, is he? Or where's Barry McCarthy in the lineup?
Yeah, I forgot about Barry coming. It'll be Barry now, actually.
A good start right on the money there. Just about manages to rotate the strike. Let me have a look at these notes then.
I'm pretty sure it'll be Barry McCarthy now.
Nope.
No?
Not for 17 in his second game, so he's only got 6 for the week.
6 for the week.
Or 6 for last week and today. So Gavin Hoey's on 7. Where's Melvin Deverage?
No.
Nope.
No. No.
We'll come back with more of this tomorrow, I think.
Just a 5 for Melvin.
Yeah, Josh Manley, if he can just get a few here, then he can put it all to bed and just be way out in front.
Yep, that'll be his idea. As you say, he's a wholehearted cricketer. He'll be looking wickets here.
Yeah, I think it was interesting last week. The first game, he probably bowled a little bit too traditional. Was happy to sit on a length, and then when he changed it up, it felt like he wasn't clear in what he wanted to do and what he was trying to execute. Came back day 2 strong, with much better plans on day 3 as well. Edged and too high for Swapnil Modgill. If it's anywhere near him, he usually takes them, but just out of reach. Rode the bounce nicely there, Tim Tector. Lifted it over the fielder in slip. Another boundary, the first off Manley.
Yeah, we saw a few of those from Stephen Downey. His brief innings. Tector moves to 10.
They've got a man in there looking to catch. Philippe Laru was a little bit uppish, but just wasn't quite to him.
Freitas on strike now, just to face his second ball of the innings. And he'll tuck that into the leg side.
Good athleticism by Hassan Khan there for a tall man.
I was going to say it's a long way down, but
he can reach.
You
He's
took
got
me off
longer
for
arms.
that last week. You chastised me last week because he's got long arms and he can reach down.
I think it's more about when they grow, when kids grow and they get too tall too soon, they don't have control over their limbs, and then they don't fight to get it back as they grow up. The smaller ones have a bit more control for a bit longer, right, when you're learning these things. Lovely shot, but there's a fielder out there. John McNally hunting in the deep. Not a great throw. Cian Hilton had far too much to do there. I just wonder if that was seam up and swung an absolute mile. 2 overs gone, 15 without loss.
Yeah, you mentioned about Scott Macbeth running between the wickets. He's very noticeable. You can tell him from a long way off. I think the same for John McNally in the field. He's got a very individual style as he hunts down the ball. Usually quite effective. So 15 without loss.
Ben White back into the team. I said earlier that all of the batters had a go. He was the one that didn't have a chance to show us what he can do with bat in hand, but I'm sure as soon as the power play is over, we'll see him into the bowling lineup. He only played 1 game last week. He's right up there with top wicket takers. 5 he took in that match, then got a back spasm, so we didn't see him the next day. Missed out on club cricket at the weekend as well. It's good to see him back fit and healthy and ready to bowl. Uppish again, but good power from De Freitas and a despairing dive from Suleiman Safi. Beautiful timing, great shapes as De Freitas gets his first boundary of the innings.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference from last to this in terms of scoring options. Last week, as we mentioned a few times, it was more on a muscle, but that was beautifully timed from De Freitas. Much more classical shot on the sort of stand and deliver. Really nice through the covers from De Freitas. Good return from White, keeps it to 1.
Looks like a very simple game plan from De Freitas. Anything straight, he's going to look to rotate strike into the leg side. Anything outside off, trust his hands.
Yeah, not the worst game plan here.
Especially in pursuit of quite a low total. 123 required for victory. They want to get at a good net run rate as well. Oh, just out of reach, good effort. I think it's Josh Manley in there in cover. Just about got the elevation. Tim Tector living dangerously but still out there.
Yeah, width on offer. Tector threw the hands at it, as you say. Despairing dive from Manley in the covers. Can't get there in the ball. Runs to the boundary. 4 more to Tector. Slip comes out into that area. Mid wicket. There. Oh,
almost
just short. That was almost perfect. You feel that they've all got to go the Reds' way to give them any hope here. Runs already below 100 required.
Chipped and out. Liam McCarthy, he's felt that deep in his bones, that wicket. Desperately needed by Munster Reds. Through the shot far too early. Tim Tector, he said he was living dangerously. He's paid with his wicket on this occasion, just pushing at that one too much. And is this the door that's been opened? Munster Reds will be hopeful that it is.
Well, I think you can see when he takes the catch here off his own bowling, just a little bit of sense of the last few weeks there from Liam McCarthy and his teammates. congratulate him. He picks up the opening wicket for the Reds. First one down, 25 for 1. That brings Harry Tector right into the middle, alongside Chris de Freitas.
Well, from the two main innings we've seen today, Sam Topping and then Philippe Laru, both batters had to play themselves in, do a lot of running. So if you can keep taking wickets, Munster Reds, you never know. De Freitas, he's only on 7 from 4, but he looks in pretty good touch. But every batter who comes out isn't going to be comfortable from the start. A little bit of nibble, extra bounce, and sometimes the low targets are the tough ones. A big edge that flies away to the boundary. And now it's De Freitas' turn to throw caution to the wind.
Yep. See, all those little things have to go the Reds' way. He's thrown his hands at that with a big edge.
For me, I think it needs to be an edge off the front foot to get to that slip. If it's on the back foot,
it's going to fly.
It's going to fly, because it means you've bowled it the length that's going to fly. Third is in the ring. They've got deep point and square leg on the boundary.
Yeah, that's good cricket. Following up maybe the slightly fortuitous 4. Just takes a single off the next ball, and I think that's what he's done so well, De Freitas. If he hasn't scored a boundary, he's still kept it ticking with singles.
We were talking about that being his modus operandi last week, I believe, and then all of a sudden
he bludgeoned it.
Yeah, 70 from 29. You're not hitting too many singles in that, but at the beginning of his innings he did, and then he kind of picked his bowlers to look to take 16 or 20 off. Harry Tector to face his first. Very edgy, but I think it'll just be the one in the deep. Good quick release. Better throw this time from McNally.
Yep, Harry Tector wearing the Ireland helmet today. Shamrock on the front.
Don't say that too loudly.
No.
You'll get him in trouble. Sure, it's been spotted. Where's the Leinster Lightning helmet when you need it?
Or a bit of tape.
Yeah. Just picked the wrong one out of the bag, I think. Some training going on in the background as we approach the evening. My goodness, where's the day gone? 10 to 6. Wide and punished. Find the gap between extra cover and mid-off. That's just too full, too wide. Another boundary. This makes it an expensive over from Manley with 1 to go in it.
Yep, classical left-hander there. Through the covers. Beautiful from the Freitas all along the carpet. Despite the chase from Safi, ball wins. 4 more. Wide. Yeah, just in the background of your screen there, just on screen now, you can see that's the ground staff. Philip McCormick in the middle, pointing as we see. Let's wait to his left. I think they'll be saying about the pitch. It's hard to say that obviously 7 over game, 10 wickets in 7 overs, but I don't really think it had anything to do with the wicket itself. And then on the flip side, obviously 2 batters have got in, played really well. Might be down more to the level of cricket that we've seen with bat in hand. But the Freitas seems to have started quite well there onto 18, and the Lightning 38 for 1.
I'm sure that the ground staff will just be happy that cricket's happening because it's raining overnight. There were a lot of inspections this morning. They got the full 20 overs of the first innings in, and then it looked like the most drizzly of mizzle was going to put an end to that one. Managed to get back out, so great work from them. And then, barring any rain now, we're going to have full play in the afternoon. So for ground staff, that's the aim, isn't it? As much cricket as possible.
That's the first port of call is let's get players on the park. John McNally take up the mantle.
Gone.
And he picks up a wicket with his very first delivery.
He's just got a knack of taking wickets, doesn't he, John McNally? Into Harry Tector, who went on the charge, chipped into mid-wicket's hands. Suleiman Safi takes a decent catch.
Yeah, it's not been happening for Harry Tector in the T20 tournament. That's 3 knocks now. Not really going on at any stage. First ball from McNally. Just chipped to mid-wicket. Nicely taken from Safi.
Not a great day for Harry. Didn't get a bowl. Wasn't required, and then just 1 from 2 deliveries. So it can be really tough as a batsman if it doesn't come off. Obviously bowlers, if you get hit around the park, it's tough as well, but you do have the next ball to kind of come back. 2 different mindsets there. Hasn't been great from the kind of top middle order of Leinster Lightning. Lorcan Tucker, George Dockrell, Harry Tector, none of them have fired in the tournament so far. Lorcan 8 and 2. Harry 14, 24 in the last game, to be fair, but just 1 today. George Dockrell 1 and 5.
Yeah, it's really been De Freitas and Tim Tector that have scored a lot of the Lightning runs. Certainly the 2 victories that they had at the end of last week. So yeah, not a concern as such for the Lightning. We know exactly what these 3 can do. Seen it for many years, but just form-wise, you'd like to see someone get a score.
Yeah, frustrating for them, for Leinster Lightning, but also for the Irish setup, because they're like 3 of the top order for the full Ireland team. So you want to see them in the runs. Obviously not today if you're Munster Reds, but overall.
A little bit of a worry as well when you add in the top 2, Sterling and Adair, and it's your top 5 haven't really, don't like the phrase, but come to the party, come to the festival party, you know. They'd like to get score behind them, contribute to their team, but also individually, like the feeling Nick.
Tucker off the mark there with that single. I think they've recognised that this isn't the pitch you come out and just go all guns blazing from the beginning on. John McNally with ball in hand had a tough day in the final game of the festival last week in Cork, but he's come back well here. Went for 32 and just 2 overs against Leinster Lightning. This is much better from him. Oh, and a little nip away. That wasn't far away from the edge for Chris De Freitas, who's quickly trying to show us he was aiming to go down to 3rd, but I don't think he had any control there.
Yeah, a little bit of a bluff there, I think, from De Freitas. Well, bowling if you're beating Chris De Freitas at the minute. Pretty decent ball. Stangling in and moving away. And again, to an extent, but he's managed to just run that off the face a little bit. A little bit edgy though. And 2 good balls to finish. One ends a dot, but the other goes for 4. Slightly spoils the over. And a wicket of Harry Tector.
Yeah, really good over, I think, from John McNally. Takes the wicket of Harry Tector, and we said they have to keep on taking wickets. I think the key, obviously, right now is De Freitas, but Tucker, if he stays in, he's very, very dangerous. He's another batter who can score in all areas of the ground. Lately, he's added that power game down the ground that maybe he was just missing in previous years. Hassan Khan to get his first bowl of the Interprovincial T20 Trophy season. He had to watch a lot in his home ground down there in Cork last week. Gets his first opportunity here, ironically, when he comes north.
Yeah, and we had to watch him warm up quite a bit. As you mentioned, he was very keen to get out and get some effective overs, although he wasn't in the game. Bowled to the coaches quite a lot in between innings, in between games. So here's the real deal now.
Bit of shape away, lovely.
Yep, a little bit of movement off the pitch.
Interesting to see Lorcan Tucker have a swing first up without really seeing what effect the height of Zubair Khan. I wonder what the wingspan is. You talk about the wingspan of Harry Tector. Usually your wingspan's supposed to be as tall as you are, but some people it's even longer. I reckon Hassan Khan might be one of those. Plays it away over extra. Stephen Dohney gives chase. No real timing at all in that from Lorcan Tucker. I think he's going to try and hit Hassan Khan out of the attack early on here. Let's try and put the youngster off his line and length. He already looks a little bit rattled, even though that wasn't a boundary.
Yeah, looks like it. He's sort of getting into that power hitting stance, really. No thought of hitting that along the ground, always hitting aerial. Trusts his contact. Out to the man. Cover boundary. This is the last over of the power play.
Long pause there.
Yeah.
It's not the last over.
No. There'd be some over this if it was the last over.
Let's bowl to the left-hander now. He'll stay over the wicket. Third inside the ring. Yeah, I think he's actually just a little bit worried about that third being in. I'm sure in domestic or in club cricket he probably always just bowls with third and fine out. Sometimes as a bowler, just that mental image of your third being in means you get worried and then bowl the wrong line. He has cover and square out.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's exactly it. You almost certainly bowl with a third man and a fine leg at club cricket. It's that step up we referred to.
Better.
Decent comeback.
Yeah, still a little bit too straight, but doesn't want to get too far outside off stump because, as we said, third inside the ring. De Freitas is happy to use the pace in the last over when it was John McNally, so it's definitely something in his wheelhouse and something that's on his mind today, using the pace. And it's a little bit trickier on a pitch like this. Any opportunity you have to just use the pace of the batters, take risk out of the equation, is always a good option.
Single to De Freitas. 23 off 13, as I say, that's what he's done really well. Get that scoreboard moving. You can see the background of Stormont up to the right of your screen would actually be the seat of government here. Parliament Buildings.
Oh, sharp.
What a lift.
Exciting to see a bowler running in and getting that kind of bounce from that length. Got over from Hassan Khan, just the 5 from it. Power play is over. Leinster Lightning in a good position, 48 for 2.
Yep, and pretty much as we said, we were surprised. It sort of indicated that the ball was still doing a bit in the first innings because Gavin Hoey wasn't given the 7th over, but you can pretty much set your clock and the keeper heads off. Does the little signal for the helmet telling you that a spinner's coming on. No surprise, and it's going to be Ben White. 5 wickets in that one game that he played.
Yeah, I was going to say a handy little 5-wicket haul is just what the Munster Reds would love. And if you could do it in the first 3 overs of a spell, even better.
Yeah, kind of went under the radar a little bit with Donny's 150, but he also picked up key wickets that day. Carmichael topping just as they were starting the fight back. So yeah, really turning to him here. Runs are not many to play with, so he's really got to take some wickets. His first couple of overs, you feel.
Just the 4 fielders on the offside. Cover long off, alright. And the leg side, a man quite tight in mid-wicket. Long on mid-wicket and backward square on the boundary. Straight to Nabi in 45, maybe an ill-judged throw. Ben White gives a bit of a stare. Why did you throw that?
I know plenty of cricketers who would just left that. It's a bad throw. If you give an overthrow, I'm not even going to try and stop that.
Terrible cricketers, those. That's pet peeve. You must collect the ball as a bowler. Come on, Addy.
I'm not saying
I hope
it was
you don't
right.
let them off the
I'm
hook.
not saying it was right. I'm just saying I know a few keepers who have done it as well. Pull it down the leg side. I'm just going to leave it.
What you don't want to do is just throw the hand out. If you're going to go for it, try and catch it. Throw the hand out, you break your fingers.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be 2, easy 2.
and that's the danger with Lorcan Tucker, because they have to have a 45 and a third when he's batting, because he's such a good sweeper and reverse sweeper. They can't have a mid-wicket, and it's an easy 2 for him into that mid-wicket area. He's not going to worry too much about boundaries at all, Lorcan Tucker. Looking to try and bluff Ben White there. Back foot just shifts to the leg side.
Up for the Lightning. Risky shot there from DeFreitas.
Great power in that shot. It just keeps on leaving the fielder in the deep. Philippe Laru does well. Keeps it to 2. Look, for a long time like that was going to be the boundary that Lorcan Tucker wanted in the over. Good dot to finish. 7 from it. 7 gone. 55 for 2.
Yep, that's the type of over I think we're going to see more and more of this week. You know, 1s and 2s in the first 5 balls of the over, because it wasn't a bad over in terms of where he was putting the ball. So take your 1s and 2s and make sure you keep it ticking. It's not a boom and bust sort of pitch or ground here. I think you just got to keep it ticking over. And if the bad ball comes, be good enough to put it away. I think that's the way to go here. It seems to be from day one. As I say, unfortunately, that first game with a 7 over, it's pretty much boom and boom. Although I do have to go back to that and say that perhaps the Knights did go a little bit too hard. Easy in hindsight, of course. We did say it early. We did call that early.
Yeah, except we thought that the Northern Knights would go boom, but they
Yeah.
went bust.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hassan Khan bowled well enough to deserve a second over. Saw Hassan Khan last year. Good hit, but I reckon Tucker is home safe and sound. We saw Hassan Khan last year in the Interpros, and his approach wasn't great. It just looked like his run-up wasn't rhythmical. He maybe wasn't approaching the crease in the right way. Sometimes stuttered in his run-up. For me, this is a lovely run-up. Look at this approach. And load up is good, nice and tall. That's only going to get better. Yeah, you're past the stumps there. I think, is it Philippe Laru?
It is.
Appealing. I'm sure he's got as good a view as Mark Hawthorne there, and he knows full well it's not out. Good appeal there.
Excellent running though.
Yeah.
It was well in. And we watched Andrew Balburney very early this morning. Seems like about 2 days ago we watched Balburney being run out, and we didn't. But yeah, looking back at what you were saying about Hassan Khan, watching him here, it actually doesn't feel that he ever would have a problem, because that looks very natural. But he's obviously worked on it.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think you don't really know how big a problem something is until you watch back something like that. You step up and everyone else has that sorted. There's no one else in the bowling lineup whose approach needs work. I think that was supposed to be a slower delivery. We'll have to watch back, but just rolled the fingers over the side. If it wasn't, then he needs to work on staying with his wrist behind the ball. But Lorcan Tucker, yeah, he's just signalling to De Freitas there that it was a slower delivery. Someone like Lorcan Tucker, he might not know much about Hassan Khan, but he's watching for something like that and has something in the back of his mind. So just pitches it onto the edge of the circle and comes back for a second.
Yeah, it's a great skill batters have. The best batters able to watch the ball from the hand and pick each delivery very quickly nowadays.
And know exactly where they want to put it when it comes, even though they don't know it's coming. Back into pace on. Lovely length. Just making the use of that extra height that he has. Lorcan Tucker, you can see he's not happy to have faced a couple of dots in the over so far. That's what I should have done.
Yep.
Great to see an exciting talent coming out of Munster, though. It looked like he had intent with the bat. Maybe didn't execute how he would have wanted, but pretty simple game plan. He's good in the field, athletic. And the slower ball just doesn't finish it off.
It's good to see him trying the variations as well. You know, you're getting your first game in 4 days of Interpro cricket. We've mentioned a few times he's been doing a lot of work down in the games in Cork, but he's getting his first game here. Good to see him trying different things, just that little bit of execution, confidence to try something different, and not just bowl. Right, this is what I'm used to in 50 over cricket. I'm going to bowl line and length. These guys will soon line it up.
Yeah, not happy to just repeat what he did for the previous start, because someone like Lorcan Tucker will line you up. Philippe Laru, anticipation was brilliant in the deep there. Will still be 2 because it's a very big boundary he's got to cover there. But yeah, just you'd think maybe Hassan Khan bowled 2 dop deliveries. Both of them were back of a length, hitting the top of off, and he would have been forgiven for bowling that again, thinking, right, I'll just stay here because that's what's worked. But Lorcan Tucker will start attacking you if you stay on one line and length too long. Good fielding. Very, very good. That came at him very sharply, but manages to get another dot for Hassan Khan. 61 for 2 after 8.
Yep, good 2 overs there. Hassan Khan, and even if Munster Reds do go on to lose this game, he's got to take a little bit out of that, and I keep talking about it, build a little bit as we go through this. If he gets another game tomorrow or even on Thursday, back up that performance that he's done so far. Just keep building on little blocks. Seen Robbie Miller do that for the Warriors. Didn't get a bowl today, obviously because of the shortened game, but a lot of talk about him after last week. Certainly somebody we wouldn't have probably highlighted before the tournament. So this type of format does give opportunities because we build week to week.
Yeah, Robbie Miller, he's got 6 wickets as well. He'll be sad he didn't get in on the wicket fest this morning.
Yeah.
If there's between 5 and 10 overs in a game like today, and each bowler can have up to 2 overs. So that's how it got to 7 overs bowled and only 4 bowlers used.
Yeah.
And I was there thinking 5 bowlers bowl 1 and 2 bowlers bowl 2. But no. So it really came out as well as it could have for Northwest Warriors. Helped on its way, and Josh Manley judges that brilliantly. They're going to come back for a second because he had to slide, and Chris DeFreitas is very, very quick, but he could have easily just let that go. Josh Manley.
Yeah, just backing up what I was saying, he's full throttle. Josh Manley doesn't like to take a backward step. His bowling, his batting, and there in his fielding. Also
in his chat, he's in front of us here, and he was saying maybe he could get a couple of overs of leg spin in, throw it up very, very slowly, and he reckons he'd take a few wickets. It's good to see he's not taking things too seriously. Oh, and another opportunity for a keeper goes. It was a tough one for Cian Hilton. Good to see Ben White giving him a clap. He went for it, but it was very, very quick. DeFreitas, if they could send him back now.
More work for Manley, which again he does really well. Judges the bounce and the spin really nicely. Good stuff this from White. But he does need to change that knot just after his name there to get some hope for the Reds. Really, you felt that he had to take a couple of wickets. His first 2 to 3 overs. The last ball of the second.
And Lorcan Tucker looking to confuse Ben White, but he stays on task there. Good over, just the 3 runs in it. 9 overs gone. Leinster Lightning 64 for 2. So a couple of quiet overs. Lorcan Tucker just not motoring yet. All the bowlers have done well. Manley the most expensive. He did bowl well, but a couple of unlucky boundaries meant that he's gone at 10.5s. McNally took a wicket with his first delivery. Just the 1 over for him so far. And good to see Liam McCarthy get his first wicket of the Interpro T20 festivals. Spin from both ends. Back to your Nabi, who has really good control. I'm really interested to see how he gets on in this pitch, because it was punishing down in Cork for everybody, but in particular for the spinners. By the time we got to the last day, it felt like they had nowhere to hide. Goes for the arm ball straight away. You need to perform in the field if you're going to defend 122, and he's done just that in point. The man who's made the runs, he wants to defend all of his runs. That's a strong shot to the leg side. Good from McCarthy, but it'll be 2.
Yeah, we've talked about people being quick between the wicket, the likes of a Cade Carmichael. You can sort of look at Cade Carmichael and know that he's going to be quick between the wickets. When you watch Lorcan Tucker, he's deceptively quick up and down. Really good. There he goes again, pushing. This time he realises it's not quite gone far enough away from the bowler. And take 1.
Really good from Nabi there to turn and chase. That ball almost got to the ring, didn't it? Yeah. So if your fielder's going to be out in the leg side and you can chase that down, that's a run saved almost every time. Oh, good touch from Lorcan Tucker. Hassan Khan, I think he just slowed it down. They'll just about stop the 3.
Yeah, they were thinking about coming back again there. Decided against it. Nicely bowled.
Yeah, better length that. Forcing Tucker onto the back foot, but he can't get a cross-bat shot away. Has to hit, doesn't.
Oh.
That would have been gone, I think. Liam McCarthy, it was an extra cover. Good pick up, one-handed, got the ball away, but Lorcan Tucker gets home. Decent start from Nabi, just 6 from it. Halfway through, Leinster Lightning are ahead of the game, 70 for 2.
Yeah, definitely ahead of the game, there's no doubt about that. The Reds just hanging in there at the moment, just by a thread. They're just pulling the run rate back a little bit. Not going to be, a vital part of the game, the run rate. 53 from 60, but it can create a little bit of pressure if you were to back it up with a couple of wickets.
Well, this over and the next one is where Munster Reds can get back in. If they don't go for less than 15 and take a couple of wickets, then Leinster Lightning, I think, have it in the bag. But if they manage to get 1 or 2 and go for very few runs, then it suddenly gets nervous. Once you start talking about 8-7 overs left and you've lost a few more wickets, especially when you've watched the Northern Knights earlier today, you had a grumpy Barry McCarthy saying he doesn't want to come out and bat, and anything can happen.
Yeah, so last week in very, very similar chases. He was having to put the pads on. So McNally back to try and get that wicket. Nicely played down the ground just for 1. But if we're saying it in here, you can pretty be sure that Tucker and the Freitas are saying it out there. If we can just have a couple of overs, make sure we don't lose any wickets right now, and then get this target down, and maybe we could try and get the bonus point if we're close enough, or just win the game basically at that time. So yeah, just it may not be the end of the 20 overs, but this is a key little part maybe in deciding this game.
Just fetch that from outside off, but because of that he doesn't get the power he probably would want to really put the effort in there, John McNally. I think he'll understand how tough it is to bat out here, because he definitely wasn't at his flowing best. He had to really graft and run hard. You rarely see him go at less than 100 strike rate, and he was well below that today. Oh, good delivery. Lorcan Tucker goes the ramp. Third up inside the ring. And 45 is actually quite square as well, so this is a lot of space behind Cian Hilton there with the gloves on. What do you reckon? He goes again?
I was just going to say it's a really good ball because it's probably arguably the best exponent of that shot in the Irish cricket circles.
I'm going Sam Topping these days. You don't see Lorcan Tucker do it that much anymore. He wasn't in a great position there. In days of old, he would have gotten a position where he maybe could have gone reverse, but he's maybe not practicing it as much these days, working on the power game down the ground.
Oh, he's definitely, you know, worked on that, going down the ground. That's our poll for this evening. Topping or Tucker? Who's the best?
I'm topping your Tucker.
Who's the best ramper?
Send us in your thoughts if you've got a medium to do it. Now, as someone who used to ramp a lot, I thought about doing it in my own game the other day, and I thought, nah, we'll put it away. The eyes aren't where they used to be.
That's the eyes.
I won't say that's where Tucker is, but slower ball. He's changed it up nicely, Sean McNally. We found that in the first couple of days last week as well. He just seems to always be thinking a little bit ahead of the batters. This is a quiet over. He needs to close it out though. Can he hand some pressure over to Munster Red's partner, bowling partnerships? Say, right, I've created the pressure. What are you going to do down the other end? Who's going to have the ball? Good stop. That's the left hand out. I reckon he should have left it hit the stumps.
Yeah.
He's wasted a stop there, John McNally, and they've managed to come through for a single. But a really good over in an important time. 4 runs from it. And he always puts everything on the line, does McNally. Effort ball here into the pitch. That's where we were talking about. Don't just put the hand out, try and grab it. Brilliant stuff. 11 gone, 74 for 2.
Well, if we were talking about the next 2 to 3 overs, that's the first one down, you would say. Would have been just an extra little bit if he'd got that onto the stumps, maybe even, but felt a little bit of pain there, but just 4 from it. And as you say then, can that build the pressure that then creates the wicket? Nabby continues 6 from his opening over.
This could be very handy now. Nabby against the left-handed De Freitas, turning it away from him. Sometimes a quiet over one end means that players can feel they have to try and score heavily off the next, so that
catch up,
could create an opportunity for Nabby. Oh, how has that not gone through? Just about got the glove, I think, down on time for that one, Lorcan Tucker. For all the money, I thought that was crashing into the stumps, was waiting for the sound.
Well, it's just that moment we're talking about. Almost got it through.
Beautiful shot. De Freitas off balance, flowing bat, gets the hands through it. Lifts it over extra cover. Nabby just doesn't guess right on this occasion. De Freitas was always coming down, and he's always good to watch.
You know, that's the problem, that 1 or 2 boundaries and just release that pressure, but that's an excellent shot from De Freitas.
That's out. Off the pads into the stumps. That's the wicket they needed. The pressure down the other end has meant that De Freitas has had to get inventive. He survived a chance on 28, but now he goes for 39, and the Lightning lose their third. Things still not over yet. You just never know. 29 deliveries for his 39. And he never looks like getting out. Seems to find ways to do it.
Yeah, well, we've talked it up over these past couple of overs, and maybe a little bit fortunate, and then it's cantered off, but a quicker ball through the air there and chucked him up. Give him that. Goes through the ball. Christopheridis, he goes for 39.
So I was just having a little giggle at Nabby appealing for that. It definitely wasn't out LBW. It was missing probably another set, but you don't need to appeal when it's hit the stumps, say.
I wondered did the umpire say
No.
not out.
Aidan Seaver, I'm sure, just looked at the ground and said, hey, come on.
No, not out. It's hit the middle stump.
It's like the old wide, you know, umpires start to signal a wide and then the batter chases it and they're like, oh. 5 boundaries in that 39. Definitely a useful contribution to a pretty low target.
And that brings in George Dockel. We've mentioned about those 3 middle order Irish internationals playing for the Lightning. They only played Wednesday and Thursday of last week. 2 reasonably low totals to chase, similar to today. They haven't really made their mark just as yet.
No, and in much better batting conditions as well. So much more difficult today to get in. The last day maybe was a bit more difficult down in Cork, but today definitely is. You'd feel the bowlers getting a bit more of an advantage in the game. Lorcan took a 19 from 24. I just worry when someone's feet are doing as much as Lorcan's tuckers are before the ball is bowled. Just trying to outthink the bowler, but that one belonged to Munster Reds. 12 overs gone and Leinster Lightning 82 for 3. They only need 41. They've got plenty of balls to do it in, but it's by no means easy to score here in Stormont.
Definitely scoring has proved much trickier here on day 1. And I don't mean that as a bad thing either. I like to see, especially in T20 cricket, a little bit on offer for the ball. I'm a big fan of the hitting fest now and then maybe, but not constantly. I like to see a wee bit of thought having to go in from the batters to score runs. And no surprise really that having taken that wicket, Stephen Doheney's gone back to his opening bowler, Liam McCarthy.
Really good movement. Suleiman Safi in point. Oftentimes you'll see people take point on, but Safi in quite tight there. He's got protection either side, third and cover out, so he knows if it misses him, it's probably only 1 anyway. Liam McCarthy, having taken 1 wicket in the game, he'll be keen to double up. Well, decides not to take it, and I think that shot illustrates that it's just not that easy to bat out there. The kind of shot we were used to seeing maybe in Clontarf a few weeks ago against West Indies, would have gone sailing over the side screen on the first day anyway.
Yep, it is. It's more difficult, even though he's faced 27 deliveries now. Still doesn't look absolutely in, and you feel he's under control. It's a good shot, which will just be 1. It's Ben White. Now they're coming back for 2. Again, that's good running. That's what we're talking about on that boundary. It was not too far away from Ben White, but it's a long way out there.
No, the key is you had to slide
Yep.
to stop it. Once you're sitting down or once you're on the ground, it should be 2 when the distance to throw is that long. So you've got to get to your feet and then effect the throw. Very few cricketers around that wouldn't be 2 to it. He went deep in his crease there, Lorcan Tucker. What's coming up this delivery? Again deep. Just about chips it over extra cover. The chase is on for Stephen Doheny. I think they'll just come back for 2.
A couple of 2s after 2 dot balls to start the over. So again, not getting away here. I just need to continue to pick up wickets.
Top edge, and it'll fly away because the fielder's too square to catch up with that. Good idea from Liam McCarthy, but the luck goes the way of Tucker.
Yeah, I've talked about that the whole way through this innings, really. Everything's got to go the Reds' way. Definitely one to the bowler there, but doesn't
4
get
to
him
the batter.
Yeah, 4 to the batter, but it doesn't get him the result he needs. Definitely not in control of that, but as you mentioned, Josh Manley's very wide at fine leg. That one's in a gap. Only be 1 if McNally comes around. There's that. Very noticeable work in the deep from McNally. But in the end, 9 off the over after 2 dot balls to start. 91 for 3. There's 32 required now. I've been keeping an eye on the bonus point, but I don't think they're too bothered now. Possibly if the Knights getting beat earlier. As I say, that the Lightning can open up a bit of a gap now after this. Stay.
Might be a case of get within 15 and then see, can you just knock them off really, really quickly?
Yeah. Did that in the game last week when they were ticking away, and then Gavin away at the last 2 balls. I think was a 15th for 6 and 4.
I do wonder if George Dockrell might target Nobby here. Surprised to see him bowl another over in a row. I think he's bowled really well. 1 for 16 from 2.1, but 3 overs in a row, and players like Dockrell and Lorcan Tucker will get together, come up with a plan, and all it takes is a few lusty blows and the game will be pretty much put to bed. What about Ben White? I think maybe I would have brought him on. Oh dear, bit of misfield in the deep does not help matters.
Yeah, that'll ruin his day a little bit there. Should have just been 1 really. Half given up on the 2, and just that little bit of concentration.
Well, I will say I think it took a little bit of a bounce, but you got to be ready for that as a fielder. So Zubair Hassan Khan will be out there wanting the ground to swallow him up a little bit. All the fielders in the deep ready to come in off the boundary to stop the 2.
I think you're spot on with the Ben White call, really. Okay, that could be just 4 off the over, but still, you need wickets here. You've gone to McCarthy. You could have gone to White.
Yeah, Josh Manley as well in front of us. I think I would have thrown the ball to him.
Yeah, because as we talked about, we ain't going 20 overs here. So, you know, the best bowlers, we want them to leave overs out there if possible.
They're going to get 1 here.
Okay. Lucky.
over exuberance there gave away the single because Stephen Doherty had that coverage, but those things go your way when you're on top. Leinster Lightning were able to wait, and good that they were ready, and it brought the 100 up as well. So it's been an expensive over in the context of the game. 9 from it, 1 to come.
Yeah, just think it's very funny. We're looking last week, we'd be saying 9 well bowled. 9 off the first 5 is really well bowled. Today, we're talking about it being pretty expensive. That's a great piece of work from the Lightning. Dockrell just knocks that almost pinpoint accuracy to get back for 2. So yeah, let's call it an expensive over for sure. Without being explosive, they do get 11 from it. There's the card. And yeah, just that exactly we're talking about. No major fireworks from the Lightning really, but chasing 122. Just made sure got enough batters getting in to just work it around. And that's Tucker's taken over from DeFreitas, 37 from 35, and they perhaps an over too late. We'll see. Ben White comes on for his final 2.
I think 1 over too late for me. At the same point in the game, Munster were 90 for 5, but that was when that that was when they lost the 6th wicket, and that really halted their innings. Next few overs only went for a couple, so they couldn't launch at the end. That was when Hassan Khan was out. Amazingly, he didn't get much of the strike, did he? Hassan Khan, just 4 from 7, but he was in there for a good few overs.
For a while, yep. You might feel I've missed out there. Dockrell, anything down the leg would have gone to the boundary.
I think he's just not set up for it. Right, you can't set up for everything. If it's Tucker, yes, he's probably ready for things on his legs. Dockrell's sweating on anything he can send over long on, long off, or extra cover. So these Irish players know each other very, very well. That can add to the difficulty for the senior players when they're playing against their teammates from the Irish setup. Lorcan Tucker taking the boundary on and finally gets one right out of the middle. 6 runs added to the total. And they're sensing a victory here. They're going to take the bull by the horns, Leinster Lightning, and try and finish this one quickly.
Well, contrary to last week, we haven't seen the umpire using the arms too often today. That one sealed one over the boundary. My take on it would be that they've sensed that little bonus point. Now, down to 13. So 13 from 33. That's not going to be in the equation anymore. It's now 13 from 9. There is Rolly Black. It's for the 2nd time today, I think. Get onto the ground. This time it's the Reds in the bushes, but there we have another successful get off, Rolly.
Another dummy. I'm just having a look at Lorcan Tucker's score here, 44 from 37. A 6 will help a lot when you're looking at your strike rate, and he's faced 37 deliveries, just 2 4s and 1 6. So 14 in boundaries, 30 he's had to work for. And singles, 2s, and I think a couple of 3s as well. Again, looking to use innovation. But a real captain's knock. It's not been easy. He's just recognised the situation, grounded out, and now he's earned the right to try and finish it off quickly. Don't think he'll be too worried about the wickets now. It'll all be about the pace at which they can get over the finish line. A little half century wouldn't hurt either.
No. Changing the field. Trying to prevent the ramp. Sweep. Means he goes down the ground. Can't pick the gap, but gets one. Score moves on to 111 for 3.
The timing seems to be there for Tucker now, doesn't it? That ball got
sudden.
down to Swapnil Mogul at a rate of knots.
Yeah, the 6 was well hit on the sweep, and that one, as you say, was really well timed. A little bit of time in the middle.
Powered down the ground, pumped, absolutely pumped. So the gamble of bringing white on doesn't pay off. 6 and a 4 in the over and 3 singles, 13 from it. Leinster Lightning marching towards victory, 115 for 3.
Yeah, really. First one that wasn't done well from White, and that one's been dispatched, as you say, from Dockrell. So we get to win. And if you want to have a little bit of jeopardy in the game, let's see if they can pick up that bonus point. And you can see, caught up really well, the partnership, happy enough to just knock it around for a little while, but those last couple of overs.
35. It's amazing how often we've seen those kinds of stats, isn't it? Where one batter in a partnership has really dominated. Tucker 28 from 35 there. Manley returns. He's going to not finish his full complement today. Has Tucker given it away? Catch is taken. Ben White makes no mistake. The game may be gone, but Josh Manley adds a wicket to his tally. Tucker goes for a very important and well measured 45 from 40. Almost sees his team over the line, but a nice moment for him to walk off and get the applause.
Yep, he'll feel a little bit better. Won't be too worried, I suspect, that he's not out. I think he was trying to win the game. There, he got his team in an unassailable position, really. But the wicket for Manley will take him up to 7, level with Gavin Hoy, as we mentioned. And Seamus Lynch will come out with just 8 required.
He didn't have the best day in the field, Seamus Lynch, so he'll be glad of an opportunity to do something else in the game. Joins George Dockrell out in the middle. Dockrell 8 from 5. He hasn't had too much of an opportunity, but it's an improvement on his performances last week. And of course his bowling was very good, very useful today.
I wonder will Manley go to the short ball first up here.
Takes him on, swats it down over a long on. He never backs away, never backs down. Seamus Lynch, he tends to deal in boundaries, starts his innings with a boundary here.
I just had the feeling he would test him out, but as you say, Lynch is not going to shy away from it. He was always going to go after it.
It's a really similar delivery and shot to Tucker, isn't it? Just Tucker didn't get the bat through. He was trying to go too square. And finishes it with a flourish. Seamus Lynch. 8 runs to win. Give me 2 balls, he says. 2 boundaries to his name. He finishes equal to George Dockrell, and Leinster Lightning get over the line in quick time. 15.3 overs it's taken. And the Reds, well, they put up a very good fight, it has to be said. It was a below par total. They gave themselves a chance, but Leinster Lightning stayed at the task and get over the line with 4.3 overs to go. And with that, they win by 6 wickets and go top of the table.
Yep. Seamus Lynch. We talked about him last week. It was dot or 4. Well, today, no dots involved. 2 balls, 2 boundaries, and shake hands on to him for coming in and finishing the game. But you're right, I think the Reds will be not happy with their performance, but certainly in the second half there, they've come back and stuck at their task really well against a really good Munster Lightning team. Could have got their heads down at the halfway point and for all intents and purposes gave up on the game. They certainly didn't do that and stuck at it really well, but they've ended up on the losing side.
Yeah, showed a lot of fight, but with a lot of the games last week as well where teams were on the wrong side, we talked about individual performances that they can be pleased about. Philippe Laru has been a breath of fresh air for this team. 80 for him today, and quite a sublime innings. No one else hitting the ball like him, maybe bar Seamus Lynch, who only got to face 2 deliveries. And the Reds, just the batting never got going until Laru. He just didn't have the partners to get to a good total. Stuck at it right to the end. He was dismissed in the final delivery for an excellent 80 from 57. McNally helped 14 from 23 when he was out there. But by and large, a batting lineup that will be disappointed with their return.
Yeah, as you mentioned, as you look at the top 4 there, single figures for all of the top 4. Blown away by the opening spell, but then 50 from Laru and McNally. Laru taking the majority of that. And a couple of partnerships towards the end, and a handy 17 at the end between Laru and Manley.
The Lightning bowlers were brilliant. McCarthy finished with 4 wickets for 14 from his 4 overs, 2 each for Deverage and Dockrell. Hoey was good as well, adding 1 wicket to his tally so far in this IP20 Trophy Festival.
So then a low total for the Lightning to chase of just 123. And they came out, Tim Tector, as is usual and his wont, came out guns blazing, but McCarthy took his wicket, and then Harry Tector fell off the first ball of McNally's spell. But then DeFreitas and Tucker just decided to play it nice and calmly with low risk cricket, and then they played it quite perfectly towards the end when Tucker got out. They were in a good position then to pick up the bonus point, chasing down the 122.
Tim Tector and DeFreitas have been good up top, but Tector went pretty early, as did Harry Tector, and then 2 good partnerships between DeFreitas and Tucker, and then Tucker and Dockrell almost saw them home when Lynch dominated the final partnership. 8 for him out of 8.
And there's the Reds bowling. As I say, not enough runs really on the board for them to go at it, but they stuck at their task really well. Good to see McCarthy getting in the wickets column, 1 for 26. Manley, possibly the most expensive, but that's kind of the way he goes. He picked up a wicket there at the end. And nice to see Hassan Khan getting a bowl. That was quite impressive. 2 overs for just the 11. And then now being White spinners going for 47 between them for just the 1 wicket. But the pick again, maybe McNally with 1 for 9.
So a dominant display from Leinster Lightning, but positive spots for the Munster Reds. Laru, the standout, 80 from 57 for him, but McCarthy really, well, he told for the rest of the team along with Dockrell and Deverage. 4 for 14 for McCarthy as he continues on his merry way, enjoying this IP20 festival. And in reply, Lorcan Tucker played a captain's knock, 45 from 40, well assisted by DeFreitas, 39, but Leinster Lightning in the end easy winners as they went top of the table for the IPT20 festival here in Stormont. We have more action coming up for the next 2 days. Tomorrow morning we'll be back with you at 10:45. Make sure you join us for live action then. From me, Isabel Joyce, from Ali McCalmont and everyone here in Stormont, thanks for joining us, and it's good evening and goodbye.